won the lottery.
You win the lottery.
Yeah. That's why I'm not bothered that I'm on the dole.
Mate, no wonder you've got loads of money. I've seen the car you've turned up in today.
Wait till you see my house I live in.
Everyone, welcome to the show, Mr. Nigel Page. Clap yourself.
Yeah, you can clap yourself. It's good.
I don't clap myself, but thanks for having me, guys. This is brilliant.
We've been going back and forth on making this happen for a bit as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
We have.
Yeah. But you're busy dudes, and
and you're busy.
Well, I'm on the dole, so I've got loads of time.
Oh, don't.
Let's not start there.
Have you ever had anyone on the dole on before?
On the dole.
Is it even called that anymore?
Yeah.
Job seekers allowance.
Job seekers allowance, yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually here for an interview today, so
I
might need an email to tell me. Yeah, I'm missing my job seekers allowance interview.
Oh, I'm not laughing. It sucks.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I'm not.
It's all right. I've got a nice,
with you, dude.
got a posh drink, so I'm good to go.
Oh, fuck.
Down south. Here's what you could have won.
I know. I'm going to tow me speedboat home in a bit, like on Bullseye.
Oh man, there's so much to get into. I'm like super excited for this one, to be honest. Like, yeah,
come on, you have important people on here. Don't you don't
Shut
need to
up,
say
man.
that.
Don't be daft. This is sick, dude. It's gonna be well interesting. We've got like crazy stories to tell, and yeah, loads to get into. So where should we start? I reckon we start at the beginning. I think.
Yeah, let's start you on BMX.
Yeah,
you started BMX, didn't you?
Yep. Yeah, well, like any kid, I started riding bikes when I was about 3 years old, something like that, just bombing around the streets with my mates and, making little jumps and stuff. And then...
it was BMX, right? First of all?
Yeah, well, yes and no. I started racing BMX first, but first of all, when I was a kid, I always wanted a motorbike. And I think when I was like 4.5 or for Christmas... I got a motorbike for Christmas.
Nice.
My dad was a...
Pee-wee.
No, it was way before then. Yeah, I know I'm only 25, but... no, it was a little bike called an Italojet.
Okay.
And I wanted a motorbike. I used to like watching Barry Sheen on the TV and stuff. So I got this little tiny, I think it was an 8-inch wheel motorbike. 50cc automatic thing, metal mudguards, metal tank. I thought Father Christmas had brought it, I was buzzing. Number 7 on the front like Barry Sheen.
Whoa.
And turned out it was like an old knackered thing that my dad had bought, but my dad was a boss engineer, and he'd done it all up, and my mum had sewed a new seat cover on it and painted it, and my dad, I thought it was brand new, it looked brand new.
Oh, that's so cool, yeah.
Anyway, I used to go on that every day when I was a kid. I was 5 a few months after that Christmas. But
whereabouts is this?
So I grew up in a village called Rainford, which is sort of 15 miles from Liverpool. Sort of near the nearest town was St Helens, but it was a big village. Really cool place to grow up, to be fair. We had waste ground that you could go on your motorbike on and stuff. There's no hills there, but it was a great place to grow up. I used to just literally bomb around on that every day. I used to come home from school at lunchtime, do laps around my mum's house on the motorbike.
Midday motos. So sick.
And go back to school. And then, so I basically rode that most of the time, and I had a little bike that I used to bomb up and down the street on and stuff. And then I think when I was about a little bit older, my dad used to take me to a place in Haydock in St Helens. It was like a big old sort of mining quarry, and it used to be like hundreds of motorbikes there at the weekend. And he started taking me there with a few mates because they had some hills and stuff like that. And I had to go on some kids' YZ 60 or something, and I'd never been on anything like it in my life. It was so cool. It had these big tall mud guards and knobbly tyres and flipping. It was dead fast and made this mint noise. And I wanted a motocross bike, but my dad, for some reason, they got me a TY80 trials bike when I was about 8. I think in his mind that it was gonna teach me how to ride a bike with gears properly and stuff. And,
Yeah.
and I loved that at first, but I just wanted one of these motocross bikes. So I just used to ride it like a motocross bike, but to me, it didn't look cool because it had like these low mud guards and looking back now, I wish I'd have done some trials because there's so many good trials riders that have come into biking and mountain biking, and like the skills that you get from that is incredible. But like I just wanted a motocross bike, and then for some reason I wasn't allowed one. My dad, not told many people this, but when my dad was young, he had a twin brother, and they sort of used to make their own motorbikes and stuff because my dad was a bit older when he had me. And they had a crash on the motorbike, and my dad's twin brother died.
No
and,
way.
And he didn't really talk about it, but I think maybe in his mind, maybe motocross was a little bit too dangerous or something. And so anyway, I always wanted the motocross bike, but quite a lot of the lads in the village had motorbikes, and we used to just go on the waste ground and race round and make tracks and go up and down the banking, we used to call it, like off an old train line.
So it was like speed that you enjoyed. It wasn't like trials. It was just speed.
I like going fast. Yeah. I loved it. I think as a kid I wasn't like, like some kids are mental. I wasn't like mental, but I was quite competitive, and I liked racing. Like I was good at running and stuff when I was a kid, like running racing and stuff like that. And then, like in your own sort of area, there's always like some cool older kids, isn't there? And then at this time, so when I was about 9 years old, something like that, BMX came along. I got a Rally Grifter for Christmas, which I'd been pestering my mum for ages, and my mum was dead generous. So she'd always, we weren't a poor family, we weren't a rich family, but my mum was dead generous. Like she'd get me anything. I was an only child, so I was probably a bit spoiled.
Okay. Yeah.
Whereas my dad was a little bit more careful,
Yeah.
But anyway. I had this Rally Grifter for Christmas, went down the village on it in like Christmas Day, like we all did, and met up with your mates and stuff. And I was so happy with this Rally Grifter. And then these two older kids come to outside the shops where we used to always meet, and they had these bikes, and I'd never seen anything as cool in my life. They were called BMXs. And I think one was a Talker and one was a Mongoose. And these kids were already cool.
Yeah.
And then they had these bikes, and I was just like... I was devastated, honestly.
On Christmas Day you were?
Devastated, mate. And I flipping
What was
went...
a grifter like? Did that look like a chopper?
No. So back then you could either get a chopper, a grifter or a racer. They were the three bikes you pretty much had.
Right.
I didn't like racers, they looked weird.
Yeah.
Didn't like choppers because they didn't look weird. I guess the grifter looked more like a motocross bike.
Okay.
And that was the sort of style of bike that I liked.
Yeah.
But then these BMXs, flipping heck. I mean, to this day now, I still love old school BMXs, like the look of them.
Yeah.
I think I think the Talk was like black with yellow ACS Z rims on and yellow tyres and yellow grips, and the Mongoose was like, I can't remember what. I think it was all like chrome and black with the orange and stuff Mongoose stickers on. Anyway, I went home for me Christmas dinner, and I'm like, Mum,
Dejected.
Mum, I need a BMX. And she's like, what? You just got a grifter? And I'm like, honestly, I was devoed. And then it's typical me. I always want something better. But then obviously, that time, we on the waste ground we'd build jumps and stuff. But back then it was just like a jump, and you jumped as far as you could, and you didn't have a landing.
Yeah.
And every day I'd come home with my grifter forks bent because they were already like that forks, like the early mountain bikes. So when you landed, they just bend. So my dad used to bend them back every day with this big metal pole he had that would go on the bottom of the forks. And obviously then they're getting weaker and weaker, aren't they? Anyway, by the time summer holidays come that year, my mum must have been over me asking about a BMX, and she took me to the local bike shop called Rogerson's and got me a BMX probably didn't tell my dad she was getting me one, but. And then I just rode that all the time. It was like I had metal mag wheels.
Really, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
I had a pedal back brake.
Really? Yeah, it was coaster. So
Yeah.
it didn't have anything on the bars?
No, wait, I think it had a front brake,
Right.
which I don't know what side it was on, and a pedal back brake. It was yellow. It was a Huffy Pro Thunder with yellow mags and blue tyres.
I never knew that BMXs had pedal back brakes.
Yeah, they all had it first.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. When you're a kid, you don't think, do you? You just ride what you've
That's
got.
just what it is.
And anyway, I learnt to do wheelies on that. You know, we used to do stood up pedal wheelies. You know, because your seat was lower, and me and my mate up the road learnt to do that. And then from then, one of these older kids in our village, like, you knew who was the hardest kid, who was the fastest one at running. But the most important thing to me was who could wheelie the most white lines. And that's, you know, the white lines in the road. Yeah. Well, this kid could do 44 white lines.
Whoa.
Mate, what?
Icon.
Icon.
Yeah.
There's nothing else I wanted to do more.
Icon.
Yeah, icon. So, anyway, one day, these older kids, you know, I didn't really speak to them because they were like the cool older kids and that. And they invited me to come to their jump. The jump was a bit of tarmac that the tarmac people had left, you know, like a solid bit of tarmac. And then they were having a long jump competition. And the kid who could do the 44 white lines, obviously, his name was Cal.
Ledge.
Yeah. He had the longest record.
Okay.
So that was you just pedal at the tarmac and jump to flat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine doing that now. Every body part would fall off. But, yeah, that's what you did. And... anyway, they invited me down, and I was like, "No way, this is unreal!" Like, so I flipping come flying at this jump with me flipping yellow mag. Imagine how much give there are in a set of mag wheels that are metal. Literally jumped twice as far as this dude on my BMX, and they were all like, I was like, "Shit, are they gonna like not like me now, or are they gonna?" Do you know what I mean? Like, because I'd beaten them all. Yeah. And anyway, Then I became their mate because I could jump further, and then a few years later I beat the wheelie record as well. Did 386 white lines.
No,
yeah, my legs were that tired.
386.
Yeah, I could have kept going. I went from one village to the next village, and my mate was counting.
How are you going to say you count 1, 2?
Yeah, no, my mate was counting.
I love the fact. Think how many races you've done. You won't remember the results, but you remember those 300. You know, they're some of the biggest wins, eh?
Mate, best thing I've ever done in my life.
It's true though, that period of time, like, memories are so vivid, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like the bikes even. Like, think how many bikes have come out since then. Probably important ones.
Yeah.
But you don't remember them like that first one.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah. I remember down our local BMX track, we used to just do, it was, the thing people were trying to achieve was how many people could you jump?
Yeah, we used to do
like
that.
The most dangerous thing ever. Like, God, put one more on. Let's go find a kid.
Yeah.
Lay him down.
Yeah.
Put one more on.
Just dancing with death. The young kid on the end. Oh my God.
They get more disposable as you reach
just younger and younger. Lay down.
Funny.
Wow.
So then you reached the crew and notoriety.
Yeah, so then obviously there was a couple of like back then, you know, that's the only bikes you had really. There was, you know, every single kid had a BMX at that time. You know, if you rode bikes.
Yeah.
And then I had a mate from school, and then I think it was them same older kids that had the cool BMXs. They told us about this BMX track in Wigan called it was called the Three Sisters at the time. It was a national BMX track. There's a really cool BMX shop in Wigan still going to this day called Alan's BMX.
Yeah.
And so I told my mum about this BMX track and said I wanted to go to it, like, because a few of the kids had been there. So my dad took me and my mate.
How far is that then?
Only probably like.
How many spaces?
I could have probably wheelied there, to be fair. It was I don't know, like maybe a 20-minute drive or something like that.
How cool is it when you're that age? Yeah. How cool is it? It's like, feels like another world.
Yeah.
This thing, this Wigan BMX track.
And you get to that spot and you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like blown away by it.
There's not like internet. You can't look it up. You just heard of it.
Yeah.
That's so. You can't help thinking that's more exciting, can you?
So exciting, isn't
Yeah.
it? And like, you know, you're nervous about going as well.
Yeah,
because you're like, what's it going to be like? You know, because you're used to your own village and your little jumps and stuff, but going to an actual BMX track. So my dad took us there, and me and my mate, and it turned out that there was a race on, because I think it was on a Saturday, and normally racing was on a Sunday, but for some reason they had a race on the Saturday. So my dad just entered me in the race, and I did the race, and I think I come second and won this little trophy. Best, like, I couldn't believe I'd won a trophy. Wow. Like, unreal. Yeah. And from that, I think that was the end of like summer or something, and then I didn't race again that year. I think that was 1982, and then for the Christmas of 1982, because I was riding my bike all the time, and basically that BMX track, Alan's dad had built it along with Alan. Like Alan's a phenomenal guy. Like, he was like probably about 16 at the time. He was importing bikes from the US. They had a shop in Wigan. Everyone was talking about this, and then my mum took me to. We started getting all these magazines from the US and stuff, and looking at all these cool brands and everything. And then rally burners were like huge in the UK at that time, which were like the shittest bikes ever. They're like now super cool because everyone wants one, but they were so shit. And I got a rally burner next, an ultra burner. It was a lot lighter than the Huffy I had, but it was I think I broke that. But anyway, I went to Alan's BMX shop, and he was importing a brand called Robinson from the UK, and they were like super trick bikes. And his shop was like upstairs in like an old warehouse thing at the time, and we walked into there, and one of the team bikes was up against the wall. Like, he had a factory team. It was like Robinson Factory Racing with his Alan's logo on. And I think it was Tony Holland's bike, who was a few years older than me, that was like a number 2 in the UK rider or whatever. And his bike was up against the wall, and it was a chrome frame with like 1 3/8 skinny wheels with flipping all blue and red parts to match the Robinson logo, which was blue, white and red.
It's another moment, another benchmark moment.
Another moment. And I was literally just staring at this bike. And then we went upstairs to the shop, and my mum's like, we want one of these Robinson bikes. And so Alan would say what you wanted and how old you were, so he'd pick the size of the frame, and then he'd build the bike with what parts he had. So it was like getting a custom factory bike. But my mum's like, well, how much are they? And like, at the time, like, I think your rally burner was about £95 or £100. This Robinson was over £300. In 1982, that's a lot of money, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, I said my mum was so kind, and she flipping ordered me that for Christmas. And then I got that, and then I think in the February, I went to a race, and then I think from that February in 1983 up until I was 17, I could probably count the number of weekends I didn't race a BMX.
Really?
Yeah.
Just out doing it.
Yeah.
So did you know you were good at this point? Were you like...
Not at all.
So what did you think was happening? You were obviously getting like second place. All right, you've done the 300 and however many lines it is. You've won the long jump record. Did you think there was any legs in it, or did you just enjoy it?
No, just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I've never been like a super confident person in my own abilities. Do you know what I mean? Like I always sort of, I guess, more doubt myself than I could probably do more things than I think I can, if you know what I mean.
Sport's good for that though, right? If you're not, well, yeah, definitely. I think if you're not just like naturally confident, I think sport's really good for that, because you just, well, you must have got results in BMX to come.
Yeah, I mean, I literally, you know, I didn't, my parents weren't really like come from a sporting background. Like, I think my mum was like real good at running and stuff when she was little, and my dad was not a sporty person. So I didn't have that, like, you know, some families who've had parents that are sporty, they have them training and they have them doing all this. I literally just like riding bikes, and my dad loved taking me and loved me enjoying myself. Like, couldn't have had a better dad. You know, he's literally unreal. He took me everywhere, like, paid for everything, did everything. He made me bits for my bike, took me all over the place. And I never, like, trained or never really took it seriously like I know now. I just like BMX racing and all your mates at the track, and then when you come home, like, you come home on a Sunday afternoon, I'd go straight back out on my bike, you know, take my race stuff off, go out on my bike, go on my bike till it was dark, go in, go to bed, get up, go to school, get on my bike again. Just loved it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I did quite well in the sort of local races. I was always like getting second or third or whatever. There was this one kid that I could never beat called Shaun Worthington. And I was like, my dad was like, one day you'll beat Shaun Worthington. And I was thinking, I don't know, he's fast, Shaun Worthington.
He was winning everything, yeah, he was the man at the time.
Yeah, he's just fast.
Or the boy.
He won my age group all the time. There was another kid from the area that was called John Greaves. He was from Southport, and he was actually number one in the country. But he didn't really do all the local races all the time.
Too big time.
So, like, if there was a bigger race, John Greaves would come, and then I'd maybe get third. And John, I couldn't beat. There's no way you could ever beat John Greaves. You know what I mean? He was factory mongoose with the number one national plate on. Oh. And my dad's like, "You'll beat him one day," and I'm thinking, "No way." Anyway, a few months after I was doing the racing, we went to another track. Obviously, the dads used to talk, and one kid's dad told my dad there was a regional at a place called Congleton, and so we went to Congleton, and it was a bit downhill. I was never like the strongest kid or anything. I was always all right at doing jumps and stuff like that, but this track went round the first corner, then it went downhill, and obviously Shaun Worthington was winning, and I just flew by him down the downhill bit and then passed him into the next turn because I was carrying so much speed, and that was my first place trophy.
Sick.
No way.
Yeah.
You beat Shaun Worthington.
Beat Shaun Worthington. Hey. And then it was, I think that gave me like confidence then. I thought, I can beat Shaun Worthington, you know, but I couldn't always beat him at Three Sisters, the Wigan track, because that was really, even though it was a national track and it had lots of jumps and big jumps, like obviously back then, it wasn't like the BMX tracks now. You had to pedal like mad and then you'd hit a jump, then you'd pedal like mad again and hit another jump.
Was it bowl turns or is it just like flat?
No, berm turns, but not as high.
Yeah.
You know, you could actually go on the inside of some of the turns and stuff. It was all dirt. Okay. You had Comp 3 tyres with grip and stuff. And doubles were like literally one jump and another jump. Wasn't like one jump shaped. It was you jump from one jump to another jump. Like you got a sticker if you could. There was a big set of doubles at Wigan. And you got a sticker that you put on your van called "I've jumped the Wigan Whoops."
No way.
Yeah, because if you could jump the Wigan Whoops, they were quite big for the time, and so you had a sticker on your van.
Nice.
And Shaun Worthington jumped the Wigan Whoops one day.
He did.
So I had to do it, didn't I?
Yeah.
And that was my first jump. Still got a picture at home with me doing a full Evel Knievel, you know, like front wheel in the air.
Really?
Yeah, everyone else on the ground and me in the air over this Wigan Whoops.
Whoa.
But that was another stepping stone of like doing doubles then. Once I'd done that, we used to go home and make doubles to jump and stuff like that.
Wow.
It's funny you talk about these things and they are important. They are like a big part of like what you ended up doing.
Yeah.
We could talk and laugh about jumping the Wigan Whoops, but like it's the first part, isn't it? It's the first part of all of it. And Shaun Worthington and beating him and like learning that you're actually quick or like capable of doing stuff.
Yeah. And so then I started going to some national races. Again, they must have told me dad like there was national races and stuff.
So were they different tracks? Were they like,
all over the country, mate. Yeah.
But the national ones, were they like a step up? Would they have more rhythm sections, or was it all exactly the same? Was BMX like?
It was quite similar in the respect that there wasn't rhythm sections then.
Right.
But each track would maybe have a feature jump. Like Wigan had the Wigan Whoops, and then a few years later, Wigan was quite ahead of its time. I think because Alan was so knowledgeable, he'd raced in California, and he was really in the whole scene of BMX. And then BMX just was huge then. It was just going up. Like Raleigh brought out the bikes, then they sponsored Andy Ruffle, who was like one of the hugest names in the UK, and them guys made good money back then. Like, I believe, Andy Ruffle rode for the Mongoose team, which is what that John Greaves in my age group rode for. And then it was huge news that Andy Ruffle moved to Raleigh, because Raleigh brought these BMX bikes out, and so they put Andy Ruffle on because he was the biggest name in the country. And I believe it was like a 5-figure salary when the kid was like 16 or something.
Wow.
But my hero at that time was a rider called Tim March. He was like Andy Ruffle's sort of main competitor. Tim was a bit older than Andy, and I just liked Tim's style on the bike. He had a really cool style, and like back then, like nobody did a manual. Like you literally did a jump, or you did a speed jump, which is where if you got a big single jump, you pick up before the jump and like wheelie over it, and that's faster than going off the jump and landing on the flat. So I got actually quite good at speed jumping because it was just something we used to practice. We'd go to the track and just see who could speed jump stuff, or like where you guys all did tricks and stuff. We literally did. Well, I wasn't very good at tricks. I could do like a no-footer. That was my signature move. But we'd practice, like we'd pick the straight with the biggest jump on, and we'd have competitions who could jump it the highest, who could jump it the lowest, who could jump it and land with the least noise, and I guess all that taught me how to like, and to this day it does me head in, but I can't jump like super high. I was ingrained to jump forward and low and smooth. Okay. And so I watch all you guys doing all these super cool jumps, and I just go off the lip and I automatically want to jump forward and
push forward.
Yeah, I wish I could jump like you guys, but I guess it's what you sort of learn,
Yeah, definitely. I remember. Was it Sprung 2? You on a Rottwild riding jumps?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that was like you were riding jumps on a full suspension bike. That was mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
And doing manuals up curbs and all of that on the Rottwild in Sprung 2. So like, it surprises me that I think of you as a really good jumper. I think of you as like a boss jumper.
Yeah. Well, I was okay at jumping. And I enjoyed jumping, obviously, because that's just what we did. And you see what happened was, so really briefly, I raced BMXs till I was 17, and when I was kind of 12, 13, I was really small, and I used to go to the national races. I'd like get I was number 2 or 3 in the Northwest in my age group, so it was okay. But then at nationals, I wouldn't make the final very often.
Think because of your size then?
Yeah, I was good at gates, gates. I was good at good at cornering, and I was okay at jumping, but I just didn't have any leg power.
Yeah. And
there was guys like 6 foot in my age group, and then there was other kids that were smaller but just stronger. Yeah. And like I say, I never did any training. If I'd known more about training, I still probably wouldn't have done it, to be honest. But I was a bit.
Nah, it's interesting because there's such a difference in everyone. It's not a level playing field in youth category, is it?
No, no, it's not.
Like everyone develops at different times. Because I remember it even at school, just not biking, but like just sports at school, and there'd be like the kid with stubble.
Yeah, I was gonna say one kid shaved.
And they're just so explosive, and then you're just sort of this weedy rake. I certainly was a fucking weedy. Yeah. So it's like, it's really not level at all.
No. And, there's probably things I could have done that would have made me faster. Like, some of my mates used to, like, flipping train, and the dads had trained them because they must have known about training and stuff like that. But I'll be honest, it wasn't the be all and end all for me to win. I just loved going. I loved riding my bike. But then when I got to fast forward a few years, and I got to like I had some, I always won loads of trophies and stuff. But I remember getting a new bike the day before the last national of the year at Wigan in 1984. I got this Hutch Junior thing. It was the trickest bike probably I've ever had to this day, one of them.
Really? So this is the next bike that we're doing it in like bike chapters. I like this.
I was spoilt. Like I got.
What was this Hutch one like?
It was a Hutch. It was called a Hutch Junior. So this brand in America, there was loads of, all the coolest brands came from America.
Yeah.
And then probably around 83, 84, this new brand come in called Hutch, and it was like a higher end BMX. Obviously it was more expensive again. And then like at the time, I used to have like 3-piece aluminium cranks, like I think there was Sagino cranks and Shimano DX pedals and stuff, and array of rims and cool stuff. And then when Hutch came out, they brought out their own pedals. They were like the cage burr trap pedals, and then the coolest things you could have in BMX was red line flight cranks.
Yeah.
So I said to me, my dad said, right, come on, we'll get your Hutch, and just what bits do you want on it? So I remember ringing up Doncaster BMX shop. It was in Doncaster, who were selling Hutches.
Right.
Ordered a Hutch Junior, and I was on the phone, with the big cable on that you had in your house, and you had to dial it like that. Speaking to this guy in the BMX shop, saying, I knew everything about stuff at that age. I was like, I want 175 redline flight cranks, Hutch pedals, Hutch hubs, UK 1 and 1/8 rims with 1.38 tyres. I want Robinson handlebars, DK stem, a Uni-Flight seat. I knew everything. I used to read the magazines so much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then because we didn't have phones and stuff, I used to like, I guess it's why I enjoy it now. But I'd go in the magazines and it used to list all the parts.
Yeah.
And I'd pretend I had different budgets.
Oh,
and
I did exactly this, dude. I knew every price, every single one.
Yeah.
It was because they listed so many and there wasn't internet, was there? So you sort of like had to, and it was
a shopping list.
Yeah.
So you used to do it for a build for each budget.
Yeah. And this was this was the factory budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, I went and picked this bike up from Doncaster BMX. Walked in the shop. It was seemed like we'd driven halfway across Europe to get to Doncaster, and it was hung up in the shop. Like he'd hung it up in the shop, like those lights. And I walked in and I was just like, what? Like honestly, again, another moment.
Yeah.
And then this was on the Saturday. Got home, went razzing around the village on it, and then the national was the next day in Wigan. And my dad's like, "You sure you should ride this new bike that you're not used to?" But I was that buzzing on it, and I don't think I'd made a BMX national. I don't know if I'd ever made one.
Well, like
at
finals.
that point, yeah,
Okay.
a final. Sorry,
Yeah.
No, I'd made one in. I used to race cruiser as well, and I was always good on the bigger bike. I'd made one on cruiser, but don't think I'd made one on 20-inch. Anyway, there was all these real fast kids in my age group. Every age group was stacked back then. First moto, won it. Beat all these kids I'd never beat before. I think it was just that buzzing with my bike. I hadn't all of a sudden got dead strong or anything. And then I got through my motos, got through my 8s, got through my quarters, into the semis. I'd normally probably go out in quarters, roughly. Through the semis, into the final, made the final. On first day on my Hutch.
Sick.
So that was mega. And then, anyway, I was doing all right at the racing. And then when I went into the 15X, my birthday's in February, and it's the age on the 1st of February. Age on the 1st of January for your year of BMX racing. Right. So if you're 15 on the 1st of January, whether your birthday's the next month or at the end of the year, that's your age group for the year. And when I think I sort of grew a bit, and caught up. And then all of a sudden that year, 15X, I was making all the finals. I got second at a national. I went to Worlds in Belgium, and I got to the semi-finals, and I was in 4th, and some kid knocked me off, so I nearly made like the world's final and stuff.
Wow.
And I was just, nothing had changed. I just grew and was stronger.
So you didn't have like aspirations at this point. Nothing changed. Still you're just enjoying like going along the process. Not like you're not thinking there's a job or anything.
No. I still had like these heroes that I used to look up to, and then when you get to like 16. The fast kids would think about going to super class or pro, and I just never thought I was good enough for that. And then, but it just started becoming easy, and like I could beat some of my mates I couldn't beat. I just started beating them dead easy.
Yeah.
But like I say, I'd got all the fundamentals, so once I got a bit of power, it was a lot easier. And then unfortunately, I wish I hadn't done it, but. Then the year after, so I had a good year in when I was in 15 expert. I think I was coming 2nd on cruiser overall and 4th on 20-inch going into the last national, and I won every moto on both cruiser and 20, beat the kids that were number 1, and then in the quarters or something there was a real big jump on the first straight. And I was good at picking up for stuff. So you'd pick up for the jump and then you pedal down the backside. And I had it dialed, so even if I was level, I'd be pulling away from people. And I won every race like by miles. And I thought, I remember thinking I could win this national. I'd never won a national. And then in the quarters, some big kid in my age group, still bigger than me, as we went over the speed jump, he flipping like nudged, like elbowed me, and I went over the bars as I went to pedal. And like the tracks back then, they'd have like bricks and stuff at the side of the track, and I landed right on a brick on my knee. And we didn't have knee pads and stuff. You just had your race pants with like a little bit of foam in them or whatever. And I flipping wrecked my knee. It was like this, and I couldn't race the rest of the day. And I think I went from 2nd on cruiser down to 4th, and 4th down to 8th. So I finished 8th in the UK. But if you were in the top 10, you got like a Union Jack plate with your number on for the next year and stuff, which was cool.
Yeah.
And then that winter, I still rode my bike, but a few of my mates. So the next time I was going to be 17, and like a few of my mates started getting cars, and then the flipping rave scene at the UK, and that was the end of it then. So
really, yeah, just sort of you got your car and then it just became less interesting, or what?
Yeah, so I got my car in the February. I was 17 in the following February, and that winter I hadn't rode my BMX as much because a few of my mates, it was like perceived in the village, like some of the kids were like, "Why are you lot riding BMXs?" Because we were old, like 16,
like kids' bikes or something.
Yeah, but I still loved them. But because some of my mates stopped riding, then I had no one to ride with. Do you know what I mean? So we were starting to do other stuff, and then my dad took me to a race in the winter somewhere, and I did well at that race. I raced up an age group against some older kids, and I think I made top 3 or whatever. And then but I didn't ride my bike as much. And then I got a car in the February and started just razzing around on that. So I wasn't riding my bike, and we were going to like these rave things at the weekend and stuff. And then the first national come along, and I hadn't really rode, and it was the first time ever. My dad had a camper van at the time for going racing, like a little VW thing, and my dad was at work, and my mum didn't like driving a long way, so I don't think I'd passed my test, but I drove the camper van to flipping Scotland or something. Did this national, and first moto, I remember like leading, went over the first jump, and I went like wobbly, like went off to one side, and I'm like, what's going on here? It was literally because I just wasn't riding my bike. So like the vibe you've got with your bike, that was the first time that had ever happened to me. Like I was always in control. And I was like, oh no. But then anyway, as the day went on, I got used to it again, and I won my semi through to the final. And then I hit the gate in the final and I was last. And then I think I got back to 4th. That never went to a BMX race ever again.
No
really?
way.
That was it?
No, didn't ride my bike. Didn't go. Just, yeah.
What was the reason then?
I think just because all my mates, like all the cool, fast kids, like, I've never been worried about hanging out with them. I just like hanging out with me mates. And I was better than all my mates at that point. And then they all lost interest as well. And then I didn't even really know all the cool, fast kids. I knew them to say hello to and stuff, but I just didn't, because I had no mates to go riding with. I didn't want to go anymore.
It's hard when it's because it's so tied to socialising, isn't it?
Mm.
And like other people, if other people grow out of it, then you are kind of left a bit, aren't you?
Yeah, because to me, and still to this day, like biking is the most important thing. Is just riding my bike and having fun on it. That's I love racing, I love bikes, I love everything, but there's nothing better than going out with your mates on your bike, is there? No. I just love it.
No. Speaking of mates and good times,
Davey, I want to talk to you about hindsight, dude.
Oh,
right.
Hindsight.
So much bike crime happens in the UK, and I dread to think how many people think, I listened to that LAKA ad on the Ride Companion, and I wish I'd just carried it out, got insurance for my bike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, mate. You're right. So we're here to help, are we? Or is that what we're going to do?
Well, we are here to help, but what I was kind of thinking was, I wish I could do the same with health insurance. Oh. You know what I mean? Because I'm banged up. I wish I could have just...
Yeah, shoulda, woulda, coulda.
That's how I feel right now.
A lot of people live shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah, and so many people do with bike theft and like I am right now, wishing...
Hindsight is a gnarly thing, isn't it?
It is,
you're like, let's say, unfortunately, you have a bike stolen or you get injured and you just think, imagine that time when I was sat in a chair on the website, ready to do it, and all I needed was maybe like a bit of a nudge, a bit of a deal, which we can offer.
Well, for bikes, obviously, you go to LAKA. What do you do for health? Because that's obviously
Well, yes, you can also go to LAKA. I didn't know this either until recently, dude, but LAKA now offers health and recovery insurance. So,
what?
Do you want a couple of facts?
I'd love a couple of facts. It's not already in my bike cover, is it?
It could be. Depends which bike cover you've got.
Okay.
It
Carry
could be.
on.
So it's a new kind of recovery policy for mind and body.
Right.
Made with cyclists in mind for less than an Americano a week. Depends where you get your Americanos from.
They're only like...
What? A couple of quid?
Couple of quid.
Cover that goes wherever you do, which is worldwide, like you, Mr. Worldwide.
Oh, thank goodness. I didn't want to...
of mountain biking.
I didn't want to ask the question.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks for doing...
Cover that does whatever you do, which is cycling. You.
I like cycling, yeah.
Skiing.
Not got the bunts for
Maybe.
skiing, but maybe one day, you never
Hiking.
know. Hiking, I like hiking. I've been doing a lot of it lately, I'll tell you.
Surfing.
Surfing, I'd love to be able to surf, but I need to swim first.
Yeah.
But it's good to know.
And jet skiing.
Jet skiing's on there. Are you serious?
Yeah, you got a jet ski.
They put jet ski on there?
Yeah, you got a jet ski on there. It's 5-star claims experience, home or abroad. And it's made super simple, dude. All you have to do, head to laka.co. Obviously, we talk about laka.co quite a lot.
Laka.co.
They do the best bike insurance. It's made super simple. They flipped insurance on its head, okay? Mm-hmm. They don't charge you a fixed sum every month. You only pay for what the collective has sort of, what would you say?
Dealt with.
Yes, exactly. So
and the same goes for health as well, does it?
Same goes for health as well, does it?
Wow,
yes,
that
it
is a cool model, that is.
Yeah, really cool. It's, mate, I love laka.co. I'm glad we've got them back on board. And we have got a bit of a deal for the companionship, right? So all they have to do, head to laka.co to sort your bike insurance out. Enter the code RIDECOMPANION30. What is it?
Ride Companion 30. Is that lowercase?
Uppercase.
All
and it's
up.
on screen. It's flashing red and blue.
Oh, yeah.
That's Ride Companion 30 at laka.co.
There you go. And what do you get for that? What is it like what's the offer?
You're going to get 30 days free bike insurance.
Free
so for 30 days.
It's free.
30 days, you have 100% peace of mind for free. Man, it's a dream, really, isn't it?
It's really good.
Yeah.
You could be really cavalier.
Yeah, you
in those
can.
30 days.
Yeah, you shouldn't be.
No, yeah, good point.
But you could. So yeah, that's 30 days, free insurance, bike insurance, not health and wellness, with code RIDECOMPANION30 that's flashing red and blue at LAKA.co.
Amazing. So good to know they do health insurance. I'm going to get that added onto my policy away.
There you go.
We're back. No, I absolutely love it. Like, you can literally, I can picture young Pagey, like, looking at this bike. When you talk about it, it's mint.
You're trying to say I'm not young now?
Younger.
But just like, I have all of those memories. I have all of them. I have them from bike
What's
shows.
good as well with doing this sometimes is like when you're talking about like having the magazine and making these like, fake bikes with this budget, like, it makes you think back to when,
totally,
like say when you did that as a kid. I did all the same stuff, man, as well. Like, you knew everything off by heart, every colour they did, every component in, everything. Yeah, I was really
whole range.
I was really weird about like distributors. I was fascinated by it when I was a kid. So I'd get like the magazines, Dirt Bike Rider.
Yeah.
And I knew what brands came through what distributor, and then I'd reach out to them and ask for like stickers, and like I was just like fascinated by it. This is creepy. I had all of the numbers for the distribution companies in my phone when I was a kid.
No way.
Mobile
That's great, though.
Yeah, I just used to have them, and I'd sometimes ring them and just be like, put the phone down, be like, oh, I spoke to someone at like
brilliant
Ibiza. I'd be like, oh my god, like, it's so creepy, but
brilliant.
You're just obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Just obsessed with it. When you're young. It's so pure and just like, I
think that's what's so cool about our sport. Like, so some people are just into the sport for the competition and the racing and whatever, but I've always liked all of it, like the bikes, the coolness of the bikes and stuff. To me, are as exciting as going riding and going racing and stuff. Like, still to this day, like, really, I'm waiting for a new frame to come. Like, I'm 52 years old. I'm absolutely... I can't sleep because I'm just waiting for this frame to come. Do you know what I mean? It's sad, isn't it? It's sad.
Nah, because if it, like, what's the good in losing that?
Yeah.
What are you going to look out? What are you going to look forward to otherwise?
True.
Like, really, what is the good in losing that? You want to keep that as long as possible, for sure.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it all.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what happened in the 90s then with that rave scene? Like, do you remember much about it? Or like, how do we fast forward a little bit into like getting into mountain bikes? Like, where does that happen from quitting the BMX, doing a load of partying and stuff? Yeah.
So my first introduction to a mountain bike was a bit earlier. It was in 1985.
Oh right.
And went to Whistler for the BMX World Championships. And I've asked my mate, Eric Carter, because he was a super fast BMXer in the 80s. I didn't know him obviously because I was just me, and he was like a superstar that we used to read about and stuff. And so we went to Whistler, and if you're at the finish line in Whistler and you're looking up the slopestyle track, well, apparently the BMX track was to the left of that.
Really?
Because I've asked loads of people when I've been to Whistler over the years and said, there was a BMX track here in 85, and do you know where it was? And
on flat or downhill?
No, it was downhill.
Was it really?
Yeah. And so the BMX track, you went down the first straight, and then there was a big 180 corner, but the first straight was pretty downhill, and the whole track was downhill. Like, whereas a BMX track normally starts and finishes at a similar level, doesn't it? Other than Chesterfield, which was my favourite track ever.
Yeah, especially like UK ones.
Turned left and went downhill. And
I was so fast at Chesterfield. Sick, That was one of the ones I was good at.
Yeah.
Because I think I just like going downhill fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we went to Whistler. My mum and dad paid for a trip, so we used it as going to the Worlds, but a holiday as well, I never went there with any expectations of doing any good or anything, but we got to Whistler, and I'd never seen a BMX track like this before, and I remember my mum and dad took this other lad who was a few years older than me, Andy Roberts. We took him with us on the holiday, and we were just bombing around Whistler on our BMXs like in the week leading up to the race, and it was dead hot, and we're just cruising around in our shorts and our Vans and that, and I was on the Hutch Junior, like blinging.
Nice.
And anyway, we went and did some practice. The track was open at practice, and I was flipping flying me because it was downhill, and all these American dads come over, and they were like, "Hey, what age group are you in?" And I was like, I think I was in 13s, and they were like, "Oh, okay." They thought I was like in the 8s or 9s or something because I was only little. So then they weren't bothered. They were like competitive
just
dads,
you
know
out.
what I mean? Yeah. And then anyway, we were cruising around on our bikes. Like, we found a golf course, and we were like jumping bunkers and stuff on the golf course. And obviously I don't do that in Innerleithen now. No. And then we were riding down a street in Whistler. Obviously it looks a lot different than it was now, but
yeah, what was it like?
I struggle to like picture where it was.
It was like a tourist town still, I guess.
It was a ski resort.
Yeah.
But it wasn't nowhere near as built up as it is now.
Right, yeah.
You know, like then. Obviously there was no mountain bike
nothing
built
ski,
tracks.
Yeah.
But there was these two lads that had a bike shop. I think they might have had skis in the winter, and they had mountain bikes in the summer. And because we were cruising round and I was all right at the wheelies, even though there was no white lines, they asked us to come in the shop, and they brought these mountain bikes out. They were huge things. I was only little, like, and I could literally barely touch the floor. Anyway, I could wheelie it though, so I was just wheeling around the street, and they were blown away, and they were kind of using us to bring people in.
Yeah.
You know, like because they were trying to get people who were on holiday to go mountain biking.
What did you think of mountain bikes then when you saw it? Were you like instantly?
Well, I thought it looked a bit strange because it didn't look as cool as my BMX, but they did then guided rides, you know, for people that hired the bikes, and they took us on this ride. It was a cross-country ride basically, but we go through a river and everything. I flipping loved it. Unreal. Like, because I'd never been in like the wilderness before, and forests and stuff.
The thing about BMX tracks, they're often like in like fairly bleak spots actually. They're brilliant and you can entertain yourself, especially when you're a kid, but actually they're not in nice places.
No. Like, we never went as a kid, like family holidays. Ours weren't like walking or the Lake District or anything like that. Yeah, we didn't do holidays like that. So like, to me, it was like, whoa, this is mega. And anyway, I come home from that race that did the Worlds and everything. That trip, I came home, and for Christmas, because I must have been telling my mum how much I enjoyed it. And for that Christmas, I got up and she got me a mountain bike for Christmas, like this little 24-inch Muddy Fox.
Wow.
But I was still racing BMX, so I used to ride it around the street a bit and stuff. But I still liked the BMX, you know. So I didn't ride it that much. But then when I got the car and started going to the raves and stuff, I literally didn't ride a bike. It's mad, really.
For years, or.
Yeah. No, I'd say for like 2 years I didn't, and then I sort of started missing it. And I said to my dad, I wouldn't mind getting a mountain bike. So we went to a shop and got just a mountain bike. I mean, it's still.
You're working at this point?
Yeah, I worked in a finance office.
Did you?
Flipping hated it every day. Yeah. So I left school at 16. Yeah. I wasn't like into like, my dad was an engineer. I wasn't like into that. Don't know why. I wasn't really into anything other than riding bikes, but the only things I was any good at school was like maths and drawing.
Oh wow, yeah.
So my mum said, right, you need to get a job in an office, do finance stuff. And I was like, my mum wouldn't let me not have a job. So I left school at 16 because I didn't like school homework. I didn't do any of my own work. I just passed the exams I was good at from just being natural at it. Yeah. And then I got a job in the summer holidays in a putty factory, packing putty.
That sounds like a joke.
Unreal, it was. You
He's
literally.
He's a putty packer.
I was a putty packer.
Yeah.
Putty packer. That was me.
Putty Patty Page.
Say it dead fast.
Putty packer Pagey.
Unreal.
There you go, yeah.
So I did that, and for like summer holidays.
What did you pack it in?
Like so, yeah, like that.
Just doing that.
Well, some days you had different. They swap you around on the production line.
Yeah.
So like, literally,
Some lids.
Yeah, lids. But you've missed a very vital part of the process out.
Yeah.
There was the packing the putty.
Yeah.
There was the lid.
It's quite a tongue twister, isn't it?
Before the lid, there was a little sheet.
Like the film.
That
So
you
it
put
is
on.
literally a play putty.
No, the one that you used to put your windows in with.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of stuff. Do you remember what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
keep doing this. It's awful,
No.
but like...
Oh, panel putty.
Yeah.
Panel putty pack
Yeah,
of pages.
stunk. Yeah. Panel put what? But have another drink of liquid death. I might be able to get my teeth round it.
So you were doing so all of this time off bikes. It was just like socialising. So it was just like
Got a girlfriend, had a car, did handbrake turns.
Mate, I always worry about
did a lot of that.
Even like talent round here, like kids that are good round here. They get to that age and you're like, oh, they might get lost. They might get lost.
Yeah.
So many people get lost. Talented people get lost.
17 is where that age, you meet girls, you've got a car. Like our independence came from riding your bike, didn't it? Going up on your bike. Your bike was a tool to get away and do stuff away from your house and, do stupid stuff like whether it was going jumping or trying to get a legger off the busies or whatever you were doing on your bike. You did it on your bike, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then when you get a car, you can go further. You can, we didn't have phones, but like there was all like ways where you found out where there was a rave or there was like some unreal clubs in Liverpool that we used to go to at the weekend and stuff. And then we started going, like every year you'd go on holiday with your mates. Like we went to Tenerife first, and then I think the year after we went to Ibiza, and that was insane. The rave scene in Ibiza and stuff. But I've got to say, like every time I went on holiday, I was always trying to talk everyone into getting mopeds. Like, and then we went to, I think the second time we went to Ibiza, we went for 2 weeks, and I talked everyone into getting mopeds for the whole 2 weeks.
Right, just to go riding.
So, honestly, I much preferred going on the moped to even going to the rave.
So good.
We went, Brendan's stag do was in Thailand.
Yeah.
So all of these people, like so many like bikers, pro bikers, all these people just really pretty much is a group of bike riders. Go to Thailand, away from the bikes, get away from the bikes. It just ended up a moped trip. It's only a moped trip. Literally, It was like we were racing, we were enduroing. We didn't do anything other than mopeds, honestly.
How good is it, though?
Yeah, the best, yeah. It's like the same freedom that you're looking for. I don't even know what it is, really. But it's like, it's an inability to experience life normally, I guess.
Yeah, true.
Normal life's boring, isn't it?
Not as fun in the UK, though, where you live. I wouldn't get one here, I don't think.
No.
Well, I've got my bike, so I don't need it.
True.
If you took the bike away, I probably would get a moped, yeah, I reckon, yeah.
I'd definitely have one if I lived in Italy or something.
Yeah.
Where it's warm. And
warmer, cafes, that sort of thing. It's just like pissing it down with rain. Just cold, wet.
You're an Ibiza doing enduros on mopeds,
mate, honestly. But you see, the funny thing was, I've got one good mate still from school, mate called Stu Clark, and he never raced, he's not competitive, but he still rides bikes now, and meet up with him and stuff, go riding. So me and him were like, obviously I was pretty good on the bike, and he was the next best sort of thing. But all our other mates that didn't like do biking properly, they were so sketchy on the mopeds. So like, they'd be like all grazed up and flipping cut to pieces. We'd be going to the hospital, and because I'd try and get him to, like you say, go off road, or we'd find a flight of steps. One year I snapped my moped and flipping the you stand in the middle, and I said to my mate Stu, I was like, right, I'm having that flight of steps in me flipping. I remember I went on holiday, and you'd always buy a new pair of trainers to go on holiday, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I've got my new trainers, flipping little mint. Flipping wheel, I did a wheelie that long on my moped, but I used to drag my feet for some reason, and I wore me gazelles out in 2 days. I was devoed. They had a big hole in the bottom, and flipping. But then one night we were bored, and we probably had a couple of herbal gurners the night before, and I decided I could take this stir gap on my moped. just come flying down. Didn't even have helmets on or anything. Just launched off this stair gap to flat. I just heard this, and my bars were touching the seat, and the bottom of the moped was just dragging on the road.
You sumped out.
Yeah. Anyway, we when we were taking them back at the end of the holiday, like it was cracked in half, and it was like halfway to where it joins in the middle.
You needed your dad's pipe.
I needed my dad. Yeah. He'd have welded something on it. Anyway,
Dad's pipe is tough too.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. We can edit that out. Bending pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
Dad's dick's not
My dad's pipe.
Oh man, sorry, that tickled me. That it was the image.
Yeah.
Sorry guys,
Snap
if you're offended
scooter.
by my dad's pipe.
Snap scooting your dad with his dick out.
Just in Tenerife. At your service.
Just one of his tools.
Oh, sorry. Too good.
Anyway,
Okay.
I remember taking that back and had to like try and slide it in the side behind all the other bikes. See, I mean, looking back, it's tight in it because you didn't think back then when you were as a kid, did you? Whereas that was probably some poor person's livelihood.
Someone's business asset, isn't it? I think that.
He's wheeled it out and it's like...
Like, there's no way he could have rented that out again. You know what I mean?
That's brilliant.
But it was good fun. But where I'm trying to go with this is I really did miss riding bikes. But because no one rode bikes, I didn't even think about riding bikes. Do you know what I mean? None of me mate. I literally didn't even know BMX still existed. And then what did it for me is I had that office job in a finance office, which, as I say, I absolutely flipping hated. I bought that mountain bike and I did a little bit of riding with my mate, just bombing around the village, and I think I ended up going to the Lake District with the shop I bought it from. They did rides to the lakes and they took me one day, and I realised I was all right at going downhill because they were telling me all this stuff and that. And then they were like, right, we're going to do this climb. And I was still fit for some reason. Even though I didn't ride bikes, I'd go to the gym and I don't know, I was never not that.
Dancing.
Well, I guess, yeah. 8 hours flat out dancing.
Do it.
Yeah. I think that's why my heart rate now still goes over 220.
Yeah.
I think it's all the Lucozade I had back then. But yeah, so we went to Lake District a couple of times, and I realised these mountain bikers that I went with, they were they were really crap at going downhill. I'd be waiting for ages at the bottom of the hill, and they were like, "How'd you do that?" And I was like, "I don't know, I just bunny up." Because I could do bunny ups and stuff still. I'd bunny up over the rocks, because they were just hardtail bikes with, flipping no suspension, and then I'd wait for them at the bottom, and then we pedal up and we do something else. They're like, "You're good at this." I was like, "Yeah," but I didn't really get into it. You know what I mean?
What year is it?
This would have been about. This would have been about maybe 92-ish.
Right. Is downhill a thing at this point? Or is it still an XC?
I think it was well, to be honest, I went to an event with my mate, and you literally there was a downhill sort of race. You had to do, I think, some kind of cross-country race, and you had to do a trials event or something.
So it was all round. It was
and as I say, I was never into the trials, so I wasn't really any good at that stuff. But I was probably better than a lot of people at that time because I could, wheelie and I could do a bunny up. I could bunny up pretty high because we used to do that on the BMXs. We'd make things to bunny up and who could bunny up the highest and stuff. So I could bunny up quite high. But the mountain bike, when I started doing all that stuff, it was like me grifter. Every time I landed, the forks bent. And I was literally on YTS. I was on $29.50 a week, and then $35 a week for the second year.
Right.
And I used to go college twice a week. But then, so after that, I didn't ride my mountain bike much, other than just a little bit going out with my mate. And then I met a lad at work. So I worked for the council, but in an office. So I worked in the finance department for the education services. It was like, you know, all the schools and stuff.
Yeah.
And I met this lad used to come in every Friday, and I was in charge of this thing called petty cash. So if other departments, if he had to go out and pay for something with cash, he'd pay for it and then bring a receipt in, and I'd have to reimburse his cash. And I was like, what do you do, you? And he told me he was like, he worked for the outdoor education department for the council. So it was literally taking school kids like canoeing and rock climbing and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you get paid for that, like? And he's like, yeah, you got paid way more than I did for my job. And then he was in one day, and he said, we were talking. He said, oh, we've just got doing this Duke of Edinburgh Award. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, I did that.
Did you do that?
Yeah, I did that.
And it's where, you know, you do different activities, and it's supposed to prepare you for life and stuff, innit?
I cleaned church wall with ivy. That was my job.
Yeah.
But did you have like a discipline you had doing it as well?
Yeah, did boxing.
Boxing?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Wait, I don't know if we had boxing.
Boxing? I don't see that as being a Duke. I thought it was all outdoors stuff. You do it outside boxing?
No, we had. I swear we had boxing. It was like a skill thing.
All right.
There was a hike.
I thought, yeah.
From what I remember, there was a hike, there was a community thing, and then there was like a sport thing.
Yeah.
When I did it.
There
you go.
Yeah, I never did it myself, but he was telling me about this, and he was explaining that they were buying some mountain bikes, and they had to raise the money out of the finance thing to pay for these mountain bikes, because they were introducing mountain biking into the Duke of Edinburgh Award. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I said, I used to race BMXs and stuff. I've got a mountain bike. And he said, well, do you want to come along at the weekend and you can help me? And I was like, sound? So I went along, and they had like a Land Rover and a trailer, and we drove up to the lakes, and there was all these kids, like they were all like, I don't know, about 16 or something like that.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
And he said, well, we've got to like plan this route, mountain bike out here, then set up tents, camp in these tents, and then mountain bike back. And I said I'd never even put a tent up, or, you know, read a flipping map or anything. So he was sort of doing all that bit. And while he was organising it, I was just messing about, doing jumps with all the kids. And the kids were buzzing. You know, I was getting them all to wheelie and do jumps and stuff. And he's like, you're pretty good on your bike. And then I went a few times, and then he said, you're getting them that excited to go. He said, do you want to, I can pay you to come and do this. So I started going at the weekend to do that. But then, so this would have been about 94 now. I was like 22 then or something. And then, but when I was talking to you earlier, as a kid, I always wanted to do motocross.
Yeah.
And I went to Ibiza that last summer, and I was in Ibiza, and one of my mates was just flipping. He's nearly dead, and I was just thinking, what am I doing with my life here? I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And I come back from there, and I said to me, a few of my mates, my mate Stu Clark, they just bought some crosses,
right?
And we had this waste ground in St Helens, and I said to my dad, I'm going to get a motocross bike, Dad, and he was like, right. So when I bought this second-hand, as a kid, all I ever wanted was a KX80, like the green KX, and the flipping. I used to have dreams about having one of them. I'd wake up thinking I'd had one, and then I'd be like devastated. Anyway, so I went off and bought this.
Grifter. Wake up like that. Oh, this is my reality.
I know. And then, so I went and bought this second-hand KX125, and went to this waste ground with all my mates, and they all said, we're going to go motocross racing, and I'm like, no way, this is it. Like, this is what I've always wanted to do. And I got that buzz back that I had from riding my bike. And we used to go like twice a week to this place when the police didn't chase us off. And we had a track, and it even had a whoop section. And like, you could wheelie through these whoops and had some little jumps and that. And I was like, right, when are we going racing then? And then they all bottled it like.
Oh, so really?
Yeah. So I said to my dad, I'm just going to go and do a race, Dad. So my dad flipping built me a trailer, like, in a few weeks. Built me a full-on trailer, painted it all. It had sides on it. The back, you could slide the back up. The motocross bike went in, and then it had eyelets to tie it down.
Cool.
Then you put the door back in, and the flipping then you could put all your kit in there and everything. So we went racing on that, and then when I got to the race, there was all these lads that I used to race BMX with from Manchester that had started doing it, and I didn't even know, like some of my good mates, and so I got mates with them again and started hanging out. But that first ever motocross race I went to, I didn't know what I was doing. I remember the gate went, and I flipping got roosted, but I didn't have tear-offs or out. I just had a set of goggles that I got free with the helmet that I bought the bike.
Yeah.
And then someone crashed and they stopped the race. So I went back to my car to wipe my goggles, and then I was like, what's that noise? And my race was going again.
Oh no.
I was like, no way. So I bombed it through the pits, like on my crosser, got told off someone for going, you're not allowed to ride it, are you, next to the cars? Anyway, I got going, and I ended up like passing loads of people and flipping past all my mates, and they were like, you've done well at this, like. And I was like, yeah, I didn't have any expectations. And then the next moto where we all started together, I flipping won it.
No way.
I smoked everyone.
How many times you got to win for it to stop being a surprise, do you reckon, in your life so far?
I couldn't believe it, like.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a theme, innit?
Yeah, but they're not like super important races, are they? They're just like...
Nah, but yeah. No, fair enough. I mean, those races were so important to me as a kid.
Yeah.
Any result I got then, I was like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm anywhere near any of these people. I can't believe it. Like,
yeah, it's like that, isn't it?
yeah.
And when I talk about it in a bit, that's what happened to me when I started racing World Cups. Like, but just moving on from that, and then I just fell into wanting to race motocross. That was it. I used to watch Jeremy McGrath's Showtime video every day.
Yeah.
Flipping, like, I just loved it. And I just went from that period of not having bikes to all I wanted to do was go motocross racing.
Right.
I thought, and for some reason, when I was a bit older, I wasn't quite as daunting by other people. I literally wanted to win.
Okay.
Yeah,
A bit more
that was the
confident and a bit
difference.
more
Yeah.
like, yeah.
I don't know what it was, but I actually wanted to win. And anyway, I did all right at the motocrossing, but I only raced like regional stuff. So when I raced, I think it was AMCA, and it was called the juniors. It wasn't your age; it was just the beginners.
Yeah, junior,
senior,
expert.
yeah. So in that first year, I got enough points to move up to seniors, and then because the juniors was all mixed, there was 125s, 250s, 600 flipping things with 2 exhausts, but I had I had the 125, and then I moved up into seniors, and I won 3 straight races because it was just 125s, and then they moved me into the expert class, and I think it was a bit too early, really. But my first expert race, there was this kid who used to win everything, like the Sean Worthington.
Yeah, another one.
This kid was called Highway Oliver. What a name!
Really?
Bound to be
That's his
fast.
name, yeah.
Bound to be fast, aren't you?
Sick name.
Highway Oliver.
Yeah.
Sick name, dude.
I don't know where he was from because
Better than motorway, anyway, isn't it?
it's a bit better than Nigel Page, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's a bit faster, isn't it?
Highway.
That's such a rad name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, this dude was like winning all the experts, and everyone used to talk about him. Like, did you have to go to a club once a week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sign your regs.
Yeah, and you had to turn up and stuff. And anyway, within like a few weeks, I could beat everyone in the club. And they were like, have you come from another club? And I was like, nah, I've not done motocross before.
You're from Mars?
But it was only at that level.
Yeah,
it wasn't a national level, you know. Anyway, but I was just so keen to do it because I hated that office job that bad. It was like a release, I guess, you know what I mean? And then I went to the first expert race, and I remember being on the gate and Highway Oliver got the whole shot, and I was second, and I was like second for about 10 minutes, and then I just started getting so bad arm pump, and I think I ended up 5th at that first expert race, which was all right.
Probably full gates back then as well.
Yeah, it was loads of them. I remember having a massive crash in my second moto. Like, I just kept it absolutely lit into the first corner. Someone cut me off, and I remember doing like 3 somersaults and landed down a ditch, and my bars were all twisted and everything. Mud guard was off, but my dad sorted it all out, and I was back racing for the third moto.
How old were you racing?
I would have been like 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's interesting. You would have thought everyone would be pretty fast. For you to be getting 5th, you would have been fairly competitive.
I didn't understand it. I think I hadn't lost any of my bike skills. Like, quite a few other people started biking again after a break, and they were so bad on bikes.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I didn't lose those skills. Anyway, and I think just because I wanted to do it so much, I loved it. And anyway, then the next expert race I went to, I flipping went over the bars off. Like, it was a track that was like dead, like crappy, and the jumps were just singles. You know, they didn't have big tabletops and doubles back then, but it was like dry but boggy. And I think it was my own fault. I let off before this quite steep kicker jump because it was boggy a little bit too much, and I just got flipped over the bars and landed on my shoulder and my head, and I was like, what, that doesn't feel right. And my dad's running over to see if my cross is all right, like, and I'm like on the floor going, oh, my shoulder's killing. Anyway, I dislocated it real bad. It was like down here somewhere, so I had to go to the hospital and flipping, I think they had to knock me out to get it back in. They couldn't get it back in. And that ragged, that did, I remember. And then while I was off doing that, but the one good thing was, because I worked in the office, I had a few weeks off because I was like, you know, you can't go to work. I probably could have done, but I used it as an excuse. And I was doing, and I was sneaking out my mountain bike because I wanted to, at that point, I wanted to get fitter for the motocross racing, and I started riding the motorbike again. And then that was at the same time as this Duke of Edinburgh award thing. And then I had a bit of a fallout with my boss when I went back to work after the operation. I had a flipping massive argument with him, and I'd started pedaling to work on my bike to get fit, and I can't remember what it was all about, but I had a massive argument, which was not what you did in an office. Right. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm like quite quick-tempered if someone pisses me off. And I started screaming at him and stuff and flipping. I was like, right, fuck you, I'm going home. He's like, you can't go home. You work here. I said, fucking watch me. And I flipping stormed off like a little kid, grabbed my bike, walked out, and in the council, all the doors have like glass panels in where, you know, that safety wire stuff. Yeah. I was like, no beds, you lot. Like a dickhead. Booted the door like that to go out with me because I had hold of my bike. Didn't think about it. Foot went straight through the safety glass. So my foot's through the glass. The wire's just going on my shin. There's blood pissing out everywhere. And after calling everyone wankers and whatever else I did, I was like, can someone help me get my leg out of this door? And my mate come and helped me, and flipping, it was a nightmare. I got suspended and everything. I think I was probably the first person ever to get suspended. And then, anyway, flipping, ended up, just left my job. Like, that was it. Like, full-time job for 8 years. And I left my job and decided to go and do a Camp America.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's almost like an extension of the Duke of Edinburgh. It's that same sort of thing, isn't it?
I went with the same lad.
Ah, okay. Yeah, there you go.
He told me about it. And I thought, like, I'd left my job, and then I started panicking. And my mum's like, well, you can't have a job. So I was like, right, I'm going to do that outdoor education stuff. So I signed up for a college course in the following flipping autumn. It was going to start, like, going to St Helens College. And then, but I went to California for the summer to do a Camp America. Right. I did Camp America. Then after Camp America, I did I signed up for a mountain bike camp, it was called, and we went to Yosemite.
Wow.
And so we had some older kids and we went mountain biking, and then I just fell in love with it then.
Really, yeah.
Yeah. And then I bought, well, funny story, just before I went to California, I kept breaking that Diamondback all the time because I was doing a bit more jumps. But I couldn't afford a good bike, you know. And then we won the lottery.
Go on. What do you mean? Hang on, actually. Let's tell a lottery story after this incredible ad break.
Oh, mate, how good was our last video with us with the trail crew at Bob
Right,
Wales? Good. It was good, wasn't it?
Yeah,
what a laugh they are. They're good lads, they are. The trail crew.
Hell of a crew. And I guess if you enjoyed that video, link in the show description, we got another video coming out where we spent a whole day with the medical team. Now, these are the people, when you go bike park, you don't want to see them. But we actually tried to see them. We did. They're lovely people.
They're lovely people.
The best.
And they do a hell of a job as well.
Yeah, and we learned loads about what goes into making sure that the bike park Wales that is super safe. You know, they got on-site ambulance, trials bike. They got all of this medical equipment that we go through. And it's this sort of stuff that you never even think about when you're there.
It is actually mind-blowing.
Yeah.
When you think about how little you think about it, all I think about personally is if I can get the maximum number of uplifts in.
Yeah, I know.
And I try and rush. I rush all the way to the bottom, and then I rush to the top, and then I rush all the way down again, because the trails are obviously very fun. But you don't think about what it is that you're actually getting when you go to Bike Park Wales.
No, not at all. It is. No, and it's
big part of it.
Mate, massive. And when you think about all of the equipment again that they own and stuff, like it's easy to see. Well, it's really impressive what an operation it is.
Yeah,
and how safe it is when you're there.
When's the video out, Davey?
The video is going to be out on Sunday the 21st. Okay,
Sunday the 21st.
Part 2 of our series.
Amazing.
We haven't got a name for it yet.
No, we haven't.
Actually, if anyone does want to try and help,
we will do by the time.
It would be kind of cool.
Yeah, we will do by the time this comes out. When we so the name will be there.
Yeah.
So the name is.
And that video is live on our channel, along with part 1, for you to go and watch.
Absolutely.
And also, mate,
go on.
Bike Park Wales are now offering uplift bundles to reward rider loyalty. You go loads.
I do.
So you can save some money.
How?
Okay, all you need to do is buy 2 uplift bundles from the website, and you'll have credit on your user account to book 2 weekday uplifts anytime between now and the end of September.
That's literally automatic. That's when you put your name in, dude.
Yeah, just gets it done. You get 2 uplifts by the end of September. The best thing, it's just 90 quid for 2 weekday uplifts, meaning each uplift day will cost you just £45. That's
a lot less.
So many runs as well. What's that? What do you reckon? 30 runs total?
That'd be good. Oh. I mean, you'd have to work hard, but it is possible, yeah.
Yeah, basically, you can ride more, pay less.
Perfect.
September is a long way away, so why not go 4 times, 6 times? Mate, fill your boots, okay? They're purchasable now from the bundles page, which is bikeparkwales.com/mountain-bike-bundles. Of course, there's a link in the show description. You don't have to take our word for it. You don't even have to listen and start trying to type it in. Just click the link in the show description.
Yeah.
And there is also a bundles button on their uplift page.
Oh.
Just go biking again.
It couldn't be easier, really, could it?
No. Let's go again.
Let's go again. Should we book now?
Yeah.
I'm going to book now.
I'll book it now. Thank you, Bike Park Wales.
This is my one. I'll book.
Go on, then.
Honestly, let me book. I'll book.
Right. So you've won
the lottery.
You win the lottery.
Yeah. That's why I'm not bothered that I'm on the dole.
Mate, no wonder you've got loads of money. I've seen the car you've turned up in today.
I mean, wait till you see my house I live in.
You already told us about that.
Ex-council house.
So you won the lottery.
Won the lottery, mate.
Okay, you win the lottery.
Living like, no. We did win the lottery, but it wasn't.
Who's we?
So in that office that I worked in, I think it was the first year the National Lottery started.
Okay.
And anyone who had worked in an office, they had an office syndicate.
Right.
So there was always one like flipping in charge woman in the office, you know, that booked things and did the Christmas dues, and she did the office syndicate, like where you all paid, you know, £5 a week or whatever, and then you had a set same numbers every week. Mm-hmm. And there was like, I think there was like 12 of us in the office, so it was like an office syndicate. Anyway, I was like always looking in the mountain bike mags, and I tell you what really got me into mountain biking, I'll be honest, or wanting me to go mountain biking more, was a video that Pete Tompkins produced called Dirt.
Remember it, yeah.
That, like, I used to race against Jason McCroy as a kid, not very often, but because he was from a different region. But when I saw him on his red Specialised little low slung bike with his riser bars and his shorter stem.
Drifting through the gate.
Yeah. Mate, and he was
drifting through the
doing
gate,
like 360s on the floor and wheelies and stuff. I'll be honest, because Warner was in that video, wasn't he? Dave Hemming and Scott Dommett. Yeah. And I didn't know anything about it. And I thought them other dudes were so kooky, like because they had a weird style, whereas flipping Jason had the BMX style, which I obviously related to and liked, and that literally made me want to go mountain biking. Like,
wow.
So anyway, I'd be reading MBUK and stuff when I was still in the office, and I wanted some RockShox forks for me Diamondback, because my forks used to bend all the time, but they were like 300 odd quid or something, and I couldn't afford that. And then I was at home one night and my boss rang me up and said, we've won the lottery. And I was like, what? I was thinking we'd won like millions or something. But we actually won the one thing under the main one, which was
still a lot, right?
Well, the week before it was 600 and something grand, but the week we won it, it was like, I think most of the country won it or something.
And most popular numbers.
Yeah, and we got like, I think we got 4.5 grand each.
Wow.
Right,
pretty good, isn't it?
To me, at the time, was ridiculous. Yeah. But you know, back then, like 4.5 grand, I'm like not thinking I'll save some of that.
That's a deposit for a house, isn't it? Actually,
yeah,
probably
I didn't think like that.
No.
I drove straight to Leisure Lakes. Ordered a GT's Ascar.
Did you?
Yeah, and mountain bike cranks always snapped and bent, so I ordered some Bullseye BMX 2-piece cranks on the Ascar, some suspension forks, blinged out to the max, like, got that, and then I just got into it. But then a few months later is when I left work, went to do the Camp America thing, and then when I was after the camp, we bought this old van, me and 3 lads, and we went driving round, and I met this kid who was racing BMX, and I said, oh yeah, I used to do BMXing. So I ended up getting a BMX for some reason.
In America,
at the end of the camp, after I'd done the mountain bike camp. No, I think while I went away to Yosemite, he got me a BMX. I paid for it, but he got it me. And when I got back to the camp, I had this flipping PK Ripper, and I went. He said, "There's a race this week. Do you want to come?" So I was like, "Yeah, cool." So I went. He was a bit younger than me. He was like 16, expert kid, but he was massive. He was way bigger than me. And we went down to his local track, and I won. I won the race. I was like, hey. And all these locals were like, there was this like real fast local kid in my age group, and I won that. And then next minute, I was driving to Nevada to go to this Gold Cup qualifier or something. So I had no insurance. We bought this van for $600. All these girls on the camp painted all characters on the side, like Scooby-Doo and that. So I'm driving across America with these 2 16-year-old lads and this no insurance kipping in it. Had brown carpet. And went and did this qualifier race. I think I got second.
Is it a mountain bike race or is
no
it
BMX
race again?
Yeah. And then went to there was a race in Las Vegas called the Gold Cup. But I went off then with my Camp America mates, and we went driving around for 3 weeks. We went to like the Grand Canyon and all these other places we were using the van for. But I had my BMX in the van, and then we ended up finishing at Vegas, and then I did this Gold Cup race and won my age group and got this like trophy about this big and this flipping bright red jacket with Vegas Gold Cup, you know, like how mad Vegas is. Won all this stuff, and then I was flying home and I'm trying to fit it all in me flipping bag. But while I was in America, I rang my mum and I was like, Mum, the bikes are dead cheap here, because my dad said, why don't you try doing downhilling? And I was like, I wanted to go back motocrossing, but I started thinking about it, and so I bought a frame in America because it was like half price. and it was called a GT STS or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was like little 3-inch suspension bike with like
DH or
no. This was I guess it was like a cross country one. It was before the one that Peaty had with the longer travel.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah,
but it was like Bernard's bike now. It was plastic tubing bonded into aluminium lugs.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and it was so cool looking thing again. A bit of a one for cool looking bikes. Brought that home. Swapped all my parts off the Zascar and put them on that frame because it all fitted on. You see,
that was like a dream bike though, wasn't it? That was a mega
insane,
cool bike.
mate.
That was.
Yeah,
you'd see all the carbon weave. Is it that one?
Yeah. It was called thermoplastic. It was called.
It, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I got home and one of the kids that I met on doing the Duke of Edinburgh Award, he was in a mountain bike club called the St Helens Woolly-Backs, because Scouse is called outside of out of Liverpool woolly, but you're a woolly back if you live not in Liverpool.
Oh really? Yeah.
Because you like sheep and that, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So it was called the St Helens Woolly-Backs, and he said, "Do you want to come on a club ride?" So we went off to North Wales, and we did like this mountain bike ride, but they were all like really crap. They were just cross country dudes, you know what I mean? Anyway, we got to the bottom of this place in Nannock. I don't know if you've ever heard of it when you were starting out. There was a track called the Scousers track in Nannock, and what it was, we got to the bottom of this little downhill we done, and next minute these lads come round the corner with full face helmets on, motocross body armour, downhill bikes, and I was like, what's going on here? Anyway, I sacked the ride off with my young mate and went to speak to these lads, and they were so scouse scallies. Like I don't think any of them had jobs, but somehow they had the best bikes in the world.
Okay.
They had walkie-talkies, they had vans, and they had timing sheets. Really? And they said, "Yeah, lad, come and look at this track we've built." It was incredible. They literally built this downhill track that was way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And so instead of doing the ride, we stayed and they said come and do a time run if you want. So we stayed and we did a run, and then we did a time run, and I flipping beat them all. And they were like, "How have you done that?" Anyway, I got mates with them, and we went back every single weekend that winter. Like every week we went to Nannock and just pushed our bikes up and rode, and I got faster and faster until my thermoplastic bike didn't quite do what Bernard's did, but it was on its way. And I'd entered the first national that would have been 1997. The first downhill national was in Innerleithen, where I've moved to now.
Yeah.
And me, my mate Mike, and Cy Payton all knew Cy Payton because he lived in Liverpool at that point. We all went to Innerleithen, put a tent up, stayed in this tent, and there's some lad from Leisure Lakes who gave me like a helmet and some tyres or something, and he wanted me to race in his Leisure Lakes jersey. So back then there was elite, and then the senior class was massive, and then there was junior, and that there was no expert class. So I went. I didn't have any expectations or anything, but went to that race, and I won it. So I was blown away that I won that race, like, because it was a national, and and then the next minute, like up until that point, I'd never ever, nobody had even given me a free grip or a free tyre.
Nothing. No valve caps,
nothing. And then all people started ringing me up asking me did I want to ride for the shop and stuff like that, and I'm thinking I didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a guy called Craig Roberts who owns a shop called Ride On, and he rang me up and said, "Do you want to ride for the shop?" And I was supposed to be I'd started that outdoor education course, and I was just doing bits of work for my mates, helping them out for a bit of money and stuff. So I didn't have much money, but he said, "I'll give you a bike and all your kit." So that meant I could sell me bike and get some money for that. I think I ended up selling it for more than it cost me. But I really wanted I don't know if you boys will remember, I wanted a Turner afterburner.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Was it chrome?
There was a chrome one.
There was a chrome one, wasn't there? Yeah.
And Cade Edwards, his dad, I was racing against him. He was in senior that year. Tom, he had a chrome at Turner Afterburner.
No way.
And honest, I'm not joking now. I used to drive to Stiff from Liverpool to there just to look at him, and then drive home. Just drove there, looked.
Was it like Turn Afterburner? Is it quite like box section-y?
Tubes, and it had an old school BMX
big gusset
with a hole in it.
Do you remember it? Yeah. They've
still got
one
cool
at Stiff.
They're still the coolest things. Nico Mullally's new bike looks like one.
Okay, yeah.
It's like BMX back when you first did it was quite a bit Americana, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like quite like import.
Yeah.
And loads of those things seem to be like all throughout your.
I still love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't even really like the look of the new BMXs now, like race bikes. They're so trick, and if you was a kid, you'd be like, they're so nice. But I just still like the look of those bikes.
Yeah, but they had big impact on a lot of people. There's a lot of like BMX collectors and stuff, isn't there?
Massive.
A boss at DMR has a massive collection.
Does
He's
he?
Like mega into it.
Damien or Matt?
Damien.
No way.
Damien's collection is. I only just saw it like a couple of years ago after riding for him forever. Yeah. He actually showed me it. It is mental. The range he's got, and they're all perfect, and all of the parts are. Like I'd
love to see that.
Yeah. It's quite something.
Wow.
But it gets a lot of people, doesn't it? Like,
yeah.
I mean, there is an element of that in mountain biking.
They're starting to come back, and that race you mentioned earlier that in Nampmar and the end of the year they're going to have a race on old bikes.
Oh really? Yeah,
I think the guy is a collector of old bikes, so he's got loads of bikes that you can use if you want to race and stuff.
That's cool, isn't it? Yeah.
But I'll be honest, to me that the old school mountain bikes don't do it for me like the old school BMXs. Probably because that was my childhood.
Isn't there? Like there's more history in BMX than there is mountain bike.
Yeah.
I think a big part of it, I might be completely wrong, but it's that you couldn't have them.
Yeah.
It's like when you're that age, you're
and
like...
it's the age thing as well, isn't it?
I have the same thing. Like there's bikes. Like now I'm less like... I don't look at bikes as I used to. I don't like, oh my goodness. Whereas when I was a kid, oh my...
Yeah.
That STS that you're on about, that was like...
Yeah.
That was a dream bike for me.
Yeah.
That was like...
That
cannot imagine ever having that.
Yeah, it was a nice bike.
It was Zaskas for me.
Zaskas,
like the chrome one. Yeah.
Wouldn't have a chance in hell of getting one of them.
No, but there was a lad who had one. So my dad used to live in like a flat, like apartment blocky thing, and for some reason the flat above, he had one, he had it just like locked to a ladder.
No way.
But I'd just go outside, my dad would just stare at it. I'd just sit on the stairs and just look at it.
Yeah, well, Millway
and every now and again I'd just be like, a little touch,
All Millway and that lot used to ride around here, and they were all older,
and
they all had trick bikes.
Yeah,
and I remember just being like, oh my, he's got red Manitous.
Yeah.
He's in red Manitous.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think you've just hit the nail on the head there, because you were at that age where those bikes were... I think for me it was the BMXs.
Yeah.
I was older when them bikes come out, and mountain bikes, now they do, but the first mountain bikes didn't look as cool as BMXs to me. They looked a bit kooky,
They're like thin tubing, weren't they? They were like...
Yeah, and they had like funny handlebars and like clip pedals and stuff like that.
Yeah. I know you're getting to it, but like when you started riding for companies... That was a moment where mountain bikes were very, I think, really cool. Like old like Intenses and all of those, like the riser bar, for instance.
That was so good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like the first time where they actually looked cool.
Yeah.
So you weren't like converting a cross country bike. No. It was actually like fit for purpose.
For the job,
like,
Yeah.
But they looked mega then.
Yeah. I think that time, like, so that my first proper year racing was 97, and then I got on Rottwild for 98, and I think just then was when the bike started to get cooler and a bit better, You
had bombers on your Rottwild.
I had but the first Rottwild I got was the short travel one, and that had what are they called, Z1s.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, I got the downhill Rottwild, and that had
Junior T's.
No,
didn't it?
Just a minute. Another exciting day. So, Windwave that were importing bombers at the time. Yeah, so I did a race on that. The first downhill race I actually did was on the smaller bike with the Z1s on. Yeah. So I did a race at Nantmore Quarry. It was like a pre-season race, but there was a lot of fast people there.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the downhill bike then, but I had that short travel bike what I ended up racing dual on. But I got second on that race. And then they just brought out Super Tees. Do you remember them? They were red.
Do. Yeah, I do.
They were like
Super Tees, yeah.
They were like $2,000 or something crazy.
Super Tees Tyler Klassen forks.
I don't know.
Rampage
Maybe
guy.
Yeah.
I think they
I
were.
remember a really short bike just with massive.
No, they were Super Monster Tees.
Oh, there we go. We kept adding bits on.
Yeah.
Super Duper, not the Super Duper.
No, they were Super Monster Tees. Monster Tees come out after Super Tees, and then they brought out Super Monster Tees.
I know the ones you mean. Yeah, they're like wider, weren't they? The Super Monster Tees were like monster truck things.
Monster Tees were wider. They were literally, I believe, they were like a scaled down motorbike trials fork.
Right.
Whereas the Super Tees were like more like the original boxers, like thinner tubing and a bit narrower.
Right.
But they were like crazy money. Anyway, somebody rung me up, must have been the team manager or something, and said, Windwave have got a set of Super Tees for you. Windwave's what? Where's Windwave? It's
down here, yeah. Portsmouth or something.
I jumped in me flipping Astra van, drove straight to Windwave to pick these forks up. I was that excited. And I took my mate, who's still one of my best mates, who's always been into mountain biking from before I was, and I managed to he managed to buy a pair while we went there. Sick. And then I got the downhill frame, went home and got that built up, put the Super Tees on, and then the first national that year in '98, it was a crazy year really. It was on Channel 4, the racing.
Was it really?
Yeah. And it was sponsored by Toyota RAV4.
Mountain Bike Britain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember,
With like...
Is this what Rory then was commentating?
Yep. Yeah. I've actually got VHS. Have you got VHS of it?
I've somewhere.
Okay, that's all right then. I was hoping I might be able to provide you with an old video.
I have no idea where it is.
Yeah, wow. I got that VHS. That's crazy. That's really big time, isn't it? It's mad to think that was on Channel 4. I remember it.
Yeah, I mean... At the time, I didn't think a lot about it, but such a shame it never carried on. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, that was the first national. The first national was actually supposed to be at a place called Farlton Fell in going up towards the Lake District, and it got cancelled because they had a pre-race there, and the weather was that bad. Everyone's cars were sliding off the hill and stuff, and so it was at Nantmore, and we went there. I was on the Club Bruce Rottweil team, and obviously back then everyone did the nationals, like all the the big factory Animal Orange team was there, Gilly Road 4 and and
Warner and his brother, wasn't it?
Warner was on Giant USA, Rich was on Giant UK, Peaty was on GT, there was the Marin team, there was the rally team.
Marin team.
Wow.
Was Dave Hemming, James Alloway?
Yeah, Alloway was so fast in the UK. Like, not very, don't know why them boys weren't very good on the abroad tracks, but in the UK they were hard to beat. Like, they were so good at pedalling and just nibbly tracks.
God, what else was there? There was Yeti team, the Yetis.
Yeah. Jason Jessup.
Yeah, King.
Lewis King. He was nuts, him. Sound lad, but nuts.
Yeah.
Then there was Matt Farmer was on rally.
Matt Farmer, yes. Matt Farmer.
Yeah. And then Will Longdon and them guys were on the MBUK team.
Yeah.
It was Jamie Tompkins.
Mate, it was packed actually, wasn't it? And then it was on Channel 4.
And it was when Dirt magazine started.
Yeah.
There was already MBUK, which was MBUK style. But when Dirt Magazine started, when Jerry started Dirt Magazine, for me, it just made the whole UK scene. And then Alex and Milan started to film Sprung magazine and stuff.
Yeah.
Just the whole UK scene was incredible.
Yeah. Dirt were pulling a lot of inspiration as well from the States, I found.
Exactly, definitely. It was like moto, BMX, mountain biking. They actually featured all of those sports in Dirt, right?
I remember finding
crossover
that,
bits.
It was just like
Bible,
all of your dreams
wasn't
were
it?
just there.
Dude.
Like,
big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Because actually I felt I loved biking, but I didn't feel like it was that cool.
Yeah.
And so when when I found Dirt, I was just like, right, it is cool. Yeah. Like graphic design, cool logos, cool brands,
stories,
riders with style.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
it was ace, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then the early Sprung videos, they were just filming different areas of the UK.
Yeah.
And then obviously then they went on to worldwide stuff. But just the UK scene, I think it elevated the sport for sure, and especially for UK riders, became known around the world, because I think the UK had the best magazines and scene there was.
But absolutely. But also that talent was, yourself, PT, Warner, Longdon, like all of you guys we're super lucky to have all of these amazing riders, because not everywhere had that.
No, I mean, I don't really put myself in that level, but yeah, I did manage to do good. Like that first national, I got second behind Steve, and that
sort of feels like it's the same level. I don't know.
No, I mean,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, so nobody knew who I was, because I hadn't really done much. There was a few people that knew I did BMX when I was a kid and stuff, but I hadn't really done biking for a while. So like, luckily, I think the BMX skills and then the bit of motocross I did,
it's perfect.
That was perfect
Trifecta.
for downhilling, and especially then, maybe not now because the sport's gone to another level. But for that time, people who were doing downhill had just come from cross country, or they'd come from BMX, or they'd come from trials motorbiking.
Yeah.
And I think like the two skills I had was helped me. There were certain things that I couldn't get my head around at first. Like I didn't understand how you rode across off camber routes, like Peaty did. I didn't understand that. And then it took a bit of time.
What was his
Steve?
Skills? Like, where did his skill set come from?
I think he just
rode
trials. I think he rode bikes around the Sheffield, and he rode motor. His dad was like a big motor trials guy. So I think he did all that, but I think he started mountain biking like pretty early on, from like being 18 and 19 sort of thing.
Like cross country, wasn't it?
Yeah. He was like, I think he was like maybe won like the expert or the like expert level national champion at cross country or something.
Yeah. I mean, he's just fast. He's like a fast bloke, isn't he?
He's just fast, yeah. And he's stupidly brave, and tough and strong. Yeah. And I still don't.
The size as well helped, especially back then with that style of bike and stuff. Or
I think it helped just because he was so strong.
Yeah.
Like how strong he could pedal, and he just had really good balance, and he was brave. Like, I still don't think to this day there's anybody can weight the bike as good as Steve on a flat corner. Like his massive big long legs, he somehow just uses his legs to find grip, where I don't think anyone could do that.
No, I think I'll watch Josh corner, and I'm like, fucking how? Like there's just like a line drawn, like nothing lines up. The bike's lent way over, the legs are a different angle, and you just draw a line, and it's got perfect grip.
Yeah,
and I can't do that.
Interesting.
At all. There's
certain things that some people can do, I think. And you can improve at it, can't you? But some people like the grip Sam finds. I couldn't do that. It's just incredible.
What is that?
That, my friend, is a £2,500 coffee machine.
Whoa.
That you could be in with a chance to win if Simply if...
What, I can win all that?
Yeah. Guess what the ticket price is?
What, to win all that?
Yeah.
The coffee machine.
Coffee machine, grinder,
scales, jug, mug, and a year's supply of coffee.
Yeah. A year's supply of coffee I can't even see from here, but yeah.
Yeah, it's there. It's great.
Is it just... Yeah, okay.
500 quid a ticket?
Think again. Guess again.
Higher. £590 a ticket.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there because you're going up and we need to go down. We need to bring it right down.
Oh.
In a way, up in quality though, because we're offering a ticket into this prize draw for every TRC pre-ride roast bag you buy.
The pre-ride roast is back?
The pre-ride roast is back and it's for 30... One second.
Yeah.
95.
I thought you were going to say 320.
No, £32.95.
So the £32.95 gets me a kilogram of pre-ride roast, coffee that again we've gone in and made ourselves almost. Right?
Absolutely, it's a mix of Brazil and Peru.
2 favourite places for coffee.
Absolutely, you can buy it in every different format.
It's what, beans, ground.
Exactly. Realistically, you spend over 40 quid a month probably on coffee as it is,
and the rest.
Exactly.
I spend so much money on coffee.
£32.95 is a steal. And you get a chance to win this.
Right.
Do you want to know how?
Yeah, please. How do I do it?
All you have to do is head to dreamcoffeecompetition.com and buy yourself a bag.
Okay, so dreamcoffeecompetition.com, buy a bag of pre-ride roast. It gets shipped direct to your door.
Yeah.
And then that is my ticket to win 2.5 grand's worth of coffee making, aesthetically pleasing beauty for the kitchen.
And it's known to make you look more sophisticated. If anyone comes in your kitchen, game over, dude. Game over.
Just having this in the room makes me feel sophisticated.
Me too.
Mate, no more like reused, not like, plastic mugs, none of that stuff.
Norton, head to dreamcoffeecompetition.com and buy yourself some pre-ride roast.
I'm going there now.
Are you actually?
Yeah, I'm off.
It's online, dude. You don't need to leave the room.
Okay, I'll come back.
Nice one. Thanks, dreamcoffeecompetition.com.
Thanks, dreamcoffeecompetition.com.
Do you think we mentioned the website enough?
When did it become a job for you? When do you actually turn pro?
So you're on TV at this stage, you're just getting bikes and stuff?
Yeah.
I never got a good deal, I'll be honest. So so that first year on the Club Bruce Rock Wild team, they gave me a downhill bike and a slalom bike, but I had to give them back at the end of the year.
Right.
Got my race kit, an helmet. No, I didn't even get an helmet. I borrowed my mate's helmet that year.
It's so funny, man. Like me, as a kid, following it all hard, really loving it. You just think everyone's fucking balling.
Well, a lot of people were.
Right.
Really?
Who was
there you go.
Peaty's balling at that point.
Peaty was on crazy money.
GT.
Yeah, GT USA. Warner was on good money. Rich Warner got paid off Giant UK. Matt Farmer was on good money off Rally. The Animal Orange boys were all on good money. Will Longdon was on good money.
Yeah.
I guess I came into it a bit late, and I don't know, but and then so my deal that year, it was only a small team. We got £1,000. There was £1,000 across the team budget for photo bonus. It was called back then because there's no social media. But if you got a picture in a mag, if it was like half a page, it might have been 100 quid. Quarter page, £50. Double page, 250. Front cover, 200 or whatever. And then I was going to get £1,000 expenses for the year to go to the European World Cups. And
would £1,000 have stretched that far? No.
But that was all there was.
I'm just trying to think. I'm like, how? Yeah.
I mean, we did it on the cheap, but,
right.
So anyway, I did the first national, got second, and then because I come second and I was on telly and stuff, and maybe I was new to it, I literally was in every magazine, and so the whole £1,000 budget was gone in the first race.
What, your photo bonus?
Yeah, I got it.
You only got a maximum of 1,000
for the year,
right?
But that was across the whole team,
right? So you just limited.
I just won it all.
Yeah. And then that's it.
That was it.
It was all gone.
They sort of remove the motivation a little bit, don't they?
Mate, I was so into it then. I just wanted to go to a World Cup because I used to watch them at my mate's house on Eurosport and stuff.
Yeah.
And so Rich Warner, who I was friends with, and Tom Edwards, a guy called Chris Spencer who rode for Scott. They'd all been doing it a few years, and they'd all been to World Cups, and they all said, right, we're going to go to Nevigal. So Rich had an old van, and I don't know how much you know Rich, but he's so flipping, like, don't even know how to explain him, but like he had this old van that his dad let him use or whatever, but he wouldn't drive over 50 mile an hour because he said it would break it because it was old. So we drove to Nevigal at 50 mile an hour. There was 4 of us in it.
With maps as well.
We had a map. We had one tape, Rich's tape, Madonna, for the whole way, on repeat. And anyway, it took us about flipping 3 days to get there. I kipped under a park bench on the way, you know, one of them French services. I couldn't handle the van, so I just got my kipping bag out and went under a park bench. Woke up with all dew on me and stuff. Anyway, we finally got to Nevigal, and we rocked up in this little van, and there was all these trucks set up, and like I was like, no way, look at this. And then I knew Petey and I knew Rob a bit, and we got there, and then Palmer was there, and I was like, no way. And Tomac and Basta Beaver and all these dudes, and then I was like, wow. And then like Scott Beaumont was always super pro, and he'd been going for a few years, and him and his dad were like, don't worry, you know, you won't qualify. No one qualifies at first. You know, we've been doing this for ages. And
you said that, don't worry, you won't qualify anyway.
I'm thinking, anyway, I didn't worry about that. And then we went up on the chairlift for practice, and mate, I'd never ever rode anything like it in my life. It was insane. I don't think I stopped once to look at one bit of the track. I just did laps.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible, the track. Like, it started out all wide, it was fast, it was like motocross, wide open, then it went into this rock garden in the middle, then it went into the woods, and then there was a few natural jumps and stuff. It's just incredible.
So you instantly loved it?
Mate, unreal.
Yeah.
Loved it. Like, I didn't want to go back to the UK. Like, I just wanted to do this, and I had no expectations whatsoever, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't even know what I was doing. Like, all the other lads knew a bit, so they were like, right, we've got to go up at this time. Me and Tom Edwards were next to each other. Maybe it was because we signed on or something together. Tom was off first, and then I was off behind him. But there was like hundreds of people trying to qualify to top 80. Yeah. There's probably like 300 people or whatever. And then all the big name dudes, I can't remember if they were off before us or after us back then. I can't remember. I didn't care, just flipping was buzzing. And anyway, I remember setting off on my run, flipping bombing along. Next minute, I'm like, I could see Tom, and I was like, Tom, and I was like, I didn't want to like put him off, but I was like, Tom. I think he must have had a nightmare at the top or something. Do you know what I mean? And there was one fast straight that went from the top bit into the rock garden, and I was thinking, I've got to get past him before I get to the rock garden. And luckily let me up past. He looked like proper pissed off. He must have crashed or something. So I got past Tom, and then I did the rest of the track. And then at the end, you like jumped off a bank into the finish arena. And as I landed, my cranks just flew off my bike. Because like you had them, you know, them bottom
square taper.
Yeah. And choing. So I was like flipping like this, flipping, seeing if anyone had seen me. And then I went off to like try and, my teammate Aidan Bishop, he was a bit better on the tools than me. I was like, dude, my cranks have fell off, and have we got any spares? Because he was like kind of he was supposed to be the number one rider on the team, you know, he was in elite. Yeah. And he was like sort of in charge of it a little bit.
Okay.
And so he was trying to help me fix my bike. I think we only got a bottom bracket that was longer or something than the one that had snapped. So he managed to get it on, and my flipping chain device wasn't lined up or anything. And then Steve Gill went off to check the results, because the race was, qualies were in the morning, thing. And the race was in the afternoon. And he come back and he's like, oh, mate, he's like, I've flipping come 24th or something. I've flipping qualified. And we were like buzzing. And Rich Warner had qualified like 40 something. And he was like, sorry, man, you've not qualified. And I was like, oh, it's a bit devo, but I was just like, right, well, carry on trying to fix my bike, get it ready for riding again. So I'm chilling out. It was pissing rain. And next minute, Rich comes, Pagey, you've got to go up. I was like, I thought I hadn't qualified. Yeah, he didn't look on the first page. So like he hadn't looked on the first sheet. And I'd qualified 17th.
No way. Yeah. First World Cup.
And I was like, what? So Rich is getting me panicking. I didn't even grab my coat. I'm on the chairlift with Rich. Didn't think about, if I'm 17th, I'm off miles later than you lot. Got up there to the top. I literally had an hour and a half. Pissing rain. Everyone had turbo trainers and mechanics and umbrellas, and I was just like this. Anyway, eventually got to the start gate, and there was like two super famous dudes, one before me, one behind me, that I was like all in awe of, like thinking. Anyway, I just thought, sod this, I'm flipping having it. I'm having it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just set off so fast. I was going way too fast. And then there was one bit, he did all these fast turns, it was going mint, and then he turned left and went down this chute that was just like ruts and mud and into a right-hander. I don't know what I was thinking. I just tried to not brake, and I had the massivest crash. Like over the bars, flipping, big gloves were in the mud. I ran back up the hill to get my bike, and the ski pole was jammed through me brake and the bike somehow, and I'm trying to get it off. So I took my gloves off, launched them, got my bike off, put my hands on the grips, thought, oh God. And then I thought, I ain't got any spare gloves. So I went back, got my gloves, tucked them in me race kicks. Like, this is a World Cup finals run.
You only got one pair of gloves.
Yeah. And then I was so angry, and I flipping bombed it to the bottom, and I was like so pissed off. And a funny thing is, the other year I had an injury, and I was looking on that Roots and Rain thing, and it's got all your results.
Yeah.
And I looked on that, and I was, do you know what? I'm going to look at that race, that first World Cup, and the second part of the split, the second fastest person in the race.
No way.
Yeah, never been that fast in my life. I love that track that much, and I was so pissed off I crashed. Yeah, I got the second fastest split, like.
Shit.
Anyway, so yeah, from there on, I raced for Club Bruce Rottweil that year. I really, really loved that team. It was the people were dead nice on the team. We didn't have a lot of support or anything. I did go through a few bikes that year, but I think quite a few people did back then because it was kind of new.
Yeah.
And then the year after, I got an offer to ride for MB UK with Will Longdon was the main rider. I think GT UK or something, maybe one other team, and then there was a new team starting called Intense Kawasaki,
which was the Kawasaki. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that with Steve Jones? Was he on that as well?
Yep. Steve Jones.
THE fenders.
Yeah. Still the best mudguards, them things, other than RRP, obviously. Yeah. So I was like, I didn't know what team to go with, to be honest. But at the time, Chris Porter from Mojo, he was importing Intense, and he was taking me on a few. I've got to say, Jerry Dyer helped me out loads in Club Bruce Rottweil year. He used to, because he was running the dirt team, and he was letting me stay with them for free, and he got me like some sponsorship, like I got van sponsorship.
Oh, cool.
Which was mega. And then because I rode flat pedals, I guess not that many people did, so vans were coming into mountain biking a little bit. And then Jerry wanted me to ride for Dirt the next year, and I really wanted to ride for them because I was friends with them and stuff. And then he ended up leaving Dirt and starting Grip magazine, which didn't last very long. But so I ended up going with this Intense Kawasaki team, because I was going on a few trips with MBR that Chris Porter worked for, and he was saying how good the Intense was and this. And anyway, I went for that team, and obviously the bike was insanely cool. Like when we got it,
logos, man. I remember a picture in dirt. You in a turn when it had Kawasaki and
it looked incredible, didn't it? So again, it wasn't a very good deal, really. I think Kawasaki UK sponsored the team. They gave the team a motocross bike to use, but Ali King, who was in Masters, he did motocross or something, so he got the motocross bike.
Just one bike.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
No.
But to be honest, I was focused on downhill and I didn't care. I just wanted to do downhill at that point.
Yeah.
And then I think I was supposed to get $6,000 that year salary and a bit of money towards me European World Cups, not the foreign, the ones in America and stuff. And I don't know what happened. I didn't seem to go as good that year. Well, the first World Cup I did all right, got like 27th, and then the next race we went to, me, Steve Gill, Chico Hook, and Anthony Revel all borrowed this old motocross van that had beds in and stuff. We were told it was going to be this trick motocross van. It was going to, Revs had an HGV driving licence, so he could drive it. Mate, this fella dropped it off. I had to drive to London, and in the passenger seat you could see the road. It had a flipping hole in it. Like, you could see the road. I'm like... It was the worst thing you've ever seen. Somebody had got sponsored by Red Bull, so we had about 20 crates of Red Bull. I didn't even know what Red Bull was, so I was just drinking it like water. I must have had about 10 cans a day going to and then we were going through this little town going towards the first World Cup in Leger. And Chico was sick as a dog, so he was on this bed upstairs. And there was just a big flat window. Revs was driving it. The steering wheel was like this. Gilly was in the middle. I was on the outside with my feet on the dash like that. And the next minute, we comes down this hill. And we started going quite fast. And then the lights were on red. But we'd been driving for that long, we weren't even talking anymore. And I just started to think, what's he doing? Looks over and Revs' tongue was like this. You know, like super concentrating. And the air brakes had gone on the thing.
Oh no!
Yeah, and he's like this, and I'm like, I figured out it was nothing was. There was literally the lights were on red and there was cars going across at the bottom. Steve Gill figured it out, and I just remember him going, "No," in this like slow motion voice. And when I'm nervous, I laugh me. And I started laughing, but I was shitting my pants. And it was all like sort of in slow motion. And then as we were coming down the hill, there was a family in the middle of the road in a car. And I seen the fella like look and then just accelerated off. And we just went through the red light and up the other side. Mate, it could have been a disaster.
Jeez.
And then later on that day, we parked up to go to Mackey's like you do when you're in 98. And someone broke in and nicked Gilly's bag or something. And anyway, that was the start of the trip. So that first race was Leger World Cup.
That downhill. That's got a 4-cross dual lineup in that van, isn't it?
It is, because so me and Gilly were doing both.
Yeah.
And Chico and Revs were just doing dual.
Right, got you. Yeah.
I was on Intense. Gilly was on... Was he on Animal Orange then? Still.
Either Giant or that.
No, he might have been on Giant.
Yeah.
No, he was on Giant. And then Chico was on... I think Chico and Revs were on Saracen.
Oh, okay.
I think the truck was owned by the Saracen team manager.
Right, okay.
I think that's what it was. And then...
God, they had bad bikes back then, didn't they?
Crap.
Absolute. I wish I remember them.
Yeah, well, I've got a funny story about that the week after. So I've got this mega trick looking Intense Kawasaki. Gilly's got a nice bike. Them dudes are only doing slalom anyway. And then dual, sorry. So we did the first World Cup. I got 27th. It was all right. I had 1.85 Tioga tyres and it was muddy. So I think I was the highest placed Tioga rider. The fella was buzzing and I'm like, I come 27th. Anyway, and then the next week was Maribor. Mate, that place was unreal. Like, it was the old Maribor track that you went up 2 chairlifts. And so it started way higher up and then went into the current sort of track now. That was another amazing track. And that night, we all 4 of us went to do dual qualifying. I don't think Chico and Revs made it in, but I did all right in qualifying. I was like top 10 and Gilly qualified. And then they come up to what we parked the van at the bottom because we were staying in it. We put all our bikes in the back and went up, and they come up to watch us do dual. And then when the dual was over, we went down and someone had broke the bloody door off the back. And my bike was in first, my M1, and then Gilly's. And Revs and Gilly had a dead trick painted up dual bike. I think it was a Spooky Metalhead or something, but
nice.
It was Union Jack on one side and something on the other. And then
the Saracens.
The Saracens were at the back. They took the Saracens out, nicked all our bikes and put the Saracens back.
I like the idea that there was 4 thieves as well.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want one. Nah.
We'll just borrow yours.
Yeah. So
that's mad that there was like, I don't know, that was even happening. People were nicking bikes and stuff.
It was big time.
Was
it
it,
still
yeah?
is now on the World Cup circuit.
Really, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, people follow it round and nick bikes.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was in Slovenia, so it was at night because the duel was at night. So I had to go down to the police station and fill out all these forms. Obviously a waste of time, but I had to do. Got back dead late, and then I had no bike for the next day. So in the morning, got up and I went round the pit seeing if anyone had a spare bike or anything. And Lewis King he was on Giant UK, and he had a spare frame from last year that he just brought as a backup. He said, you can borrow that. And then I went to Rock Shocks. Tim Flukes lent me a set of one of the team riders' spare forks.
God, it sounds a nightmare. There's still so many parts to go. You've
Oh,
got
mate,
a frame
yeah.
of forks now.
I mean, there's so many good people that helped me out.
Yeah, that's wicked.
And just got the bike together for practice, but I'd missed some of the practice. I'd done the previous day's practice, so I knew the track and stuff. But I'd never rode a Giant before or anything, and I never had Rock Shocks forks and stuff. Anyway, so I did one practice run and the chain come off on the first corner. So because it was a bit of a rush job to get it together, and I just rolled down and looked, and then the next one was qualifying. But I managed to qualify 30th, and I think I come 30th in the race as well, which was okay on
good, yeah.
The bike. So to be honest, every bike I've ever had, they're all good, really.
Yeah.
I think for me, if my handlebars are in the right place and the brakes, I run my brakes the opposite way around. That's quite important for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Just from BMXing growing up, having an American BMX, the right back brake was always on the right.
Wow. There you go.
And then, did all right there. And then we went out on the town that night, like you did back then. You always got flipping bladdered after a race. And I remember being on, Peat and Warner put me on a flipping big wheelie bin. And I remember just flying down the high street. The next minute, Warner's obviously laughing his head off. He wouldn't get on there because he's a pussy. I hit some bollards in the bin, just flew off it, landed and rolled my ankle. No. Oh, mate. And the next week was Nevigal, the one where I did real good at.
Yeah.
I was so excited to go to Nevigal. Mate, I couldn't even walk. I was like trying to...
So annoying.
Mate, I was like hobbling around the pits. Like my foot was about that big.
Still on a borrowed bike too?
Yeah.
You ride a borrowed one?
I just kept the bike for the next week. So I did one run Nevigal. And I was nearly in tears. I couldn't put any weight on my foot. So I couldn't race it. and
sabotaged.
I'd go home. I was devoted. I was so excited to race there, and I've never raced there since.
Oh, no way.
So then so I did all right that year. I think I managed to win the national duel. You know, what's it called? National champs.
Yeah.
Duel. That was on TV, which was good. I think I made it through to the final with Peaty, and I won that. So that was good. But halfway through the year, the team, I don't know, there was a team manager that was supposed to be in charge of the money, and Chris Porter was supposed to supply the intense bikes. And they just rung me up and said, well, there's no money left, the team's done. And I had a cracked slalom bike, and I was coming like second or third in the national slalom series. I needed a new frame, and they wouldn't give me one. So I did slalom, I did dual on my M1.
Right.
I think I did all right, got third or something. Yeah. And then that team disbanded, and then then there was a guy that was importing spooky bikes. Do you remember that? And Gilly was riding for him.
Yeah.
And he asked me would I ride for that team the following year with Steve, and I was good mates with Gilly at the time. I thought that'd be a fun year. So I got a spooky downhill bike, but I did really like me intense by that point. And so I went to California, and somehow the import ship with intense was finishing in the UK, and so I asked Intense, what could this guy who's importing spooky maybe bring the bikes in? So they agreed that, and then I was able to ride in Intense again. So I rode for a team that year called Smell the Adrenaline. I think that was the importer.
Right.
I got to ride in Intense. Yeah. I had a few of my own sponsors. Again, I think it was maybe $6 or $8 grand salary for the year, and a bit of money to go to the European World Cups.
It was a cool team though. It was a cool look, wasn't it? Intense was like.
Yeah.
Were you Manitou then as well?
What? Yeah.
Pro taper or something or something.
I was Manitou. Yeah, because when that bike got nicked, after that, my mate worked for Manitou, and he sent me a pair of Manitous for the rest of the season in '99. Yeah. And then in 2000, I went to California, and then I got back on the Intense. And Intense had a new prototype M1, and I was staying with Steve in California, and I managed to get an invite to go to the Winter X Games because Peaty had got invited.
Yes.
So we went to racing our bikes in the snow.
I remember this. Well, I don't remember it, but I remember before we had Hansy on, I was like looking at the results, and I watched a few videos, and I was like, Page is there on the podium, I think.
I know, unreal that day. So that was definitely a bit of a starstruck race for me. Like,
it was super big time, wasn't it? It was like
so
massive.
Big time.
Yeah.
There was literally only like, apart from a couple of other American people that were like famous in America, and were part of the whole X Games thing. Anyone else was like either a super established, well-paid, you know, because some dudes were on good money back then. They were all like big time. Anyway, I rang my dad saying, Dad, I'm going to the X Games, flipping to do this big race. And it was like a border cross race, 6 people together, racing together. So just before we went, like Steve had gone the previous year and won the gold. So he was telling me all about it. Obviously, I've not rode me. I don't think I'd rode my bike on the snow since me grifter. And then Eric Carter, who's so pro, do you know what I mean? He said, I was mates with him, and he's like, I'm going to go practicing at some ski resort the week before. Do you want to come? I was like, yeah, right. So we went to this little ski resort in California, and they let us go on the slopes and ride our bikes, and I thought it was quite all right, to be fair.
Okay.
And then we got there with all these crazy big names and flipping TV cameras, and I'd never seen out like it in my life. So I was a bit like overwhelmed, do you know what I mean? Anyway, I think we had a couple of practice runs or something, and then you had a qualifying on your own. And so there was a check crazy Czech rider called Michael Morosi. Do you ever remember
him? He does that 4-cross overtake around the turn.
Unreal. Like, he was nuts, him.
Yeah.
And he was off before me in qualifying. And so you had to go in this tent because it was so cold. And then when it was your turn, you come out the tent, got on the BMX gate, and you just went down. You could see the first straight, but you couldn't see the bottom of the first jump because it was a massive snow step down with like a big run out. And
it's all white out, is it?
And it's all white.
Yeah.
And so I'm there flipping, sat on my bike. I'd done my own. We could put screws in your tyres, but you couldn't do them like that funny race they had the other week. You had to screw the sharp bit into your tyre, so just the head was out.
Right.
And Pete had about 500 different tyre combos with screws at different angles and that. I went to Home Depot, flipping, I did the outside of me, and I was over it. I was like, it took me ages this. So I just put them in the outside of my tyres. But they worked unreal.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, because I'd borrowed some Hutchinson spikes off Lopes or something, and they had like quite big knobbles.
Yeah.
So did that. Anyway, I'm on the gate, flipping like that. Psyched up, I'm at the X Games. I think 16 people made it through or something like that, or 32. But they were all fast dudes, so I'm like, oh God, I'm going to have to go for it here. So Sim Morosi go out at the start, like this with his Red Bull helmet on, shot off the first jump. The next minute, I just saw his body sliding, like slid out the snow and his bike the other way. And I was like, oh my God. Next minute, helicopters in. He smashed all his ribs and punctured his lung and everything. So I'm stood on gate freezing my ring off for ages. And then they went, right, you go. So I went, flipping bombed it down. And I think I qualified 9th. So that I was like, bloody hell, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then next day we goes up, and then there's I looks at the sheets and I'm like, it was like Steve Peat, Basta Beaver, Mike Kings. I don't know, it was in my first round, and it was 6 of us, 3 to go through. I thought, well, that's the end of that then, isn't it? Flipping won it. Couldn't believe it. I was like, no way. So then I'm like, psyched, got a bit tuned up, got through to semi-finals. Obviously that was stacked. And then obviously John Tomac was in my race, and I was still like, John Tomac. You know what I mean? Anyway, I got absolutely smoked me down the first straight. I was in last. I thought, oh no. But then it started going downhill and big turns and that, and I passed someone else, and then I was into third, and I needed to come third, and me and Tomac were like this, and I remember going around this corner and Tomac flipping come into me and like whacked me with his elbow. And I was thinking, I know it's John Tomac, but I need to make it in here. Yeah. So I just elbowed him back, and he just went over the bars. And I got third and got through. Then got to final, and I was last again and passed a few dudes and got third. So it was incredible day.
Sick.
Yeah. I was like, couldn't believe it. Like all these people were saying, would you like...
prize money and stuff then as well?
I got won 2.5 grand. I had about £8 in the bank.
Yeah.
And then and I got this cool medal, and
you still got it, obviously.
Yeah,
Still got it. X Games medal. Man.
Yeah. I know it's on the snow and that, but it's still an X Games medal.
Cool, man. Yeah.
X Games bronze. That's sick.
Yeah, I'm honestly buzzing. And then there was people like saying, would you like some? Obviously, I go in this studio. There was all cameras everywhere, and they were like, some fella come home and said, "What do you want to eat?" And I'm like, I don't know, what have you got? And he's like, filet mignon. I was like, yeah, go on. And I was like, got this steak. I've never had a steak like it since, and it was just mental.
Wow.
Mental.
What do you think it was? Because there's fewer media outlets, and yet there seemingly were bigger races. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We should, we'll come back to that. Yeah, we'll come back to it. Let's just have a break.
Let's have a break. Hey, man, what an episode that was. You did amazing in it.
And so did you.
You shone like a star.
You shone like a moon.
I shone like a Focus Spring deal.
Oh,
yeah,
beautiful
good.
transition.
Right, I've got a question for you, David, to kick this final advert off.
Yeah.
What would you do with up to €400 if you got it back when buying a bike?
Ooh, I could stay in the bike shop and spend my €400 on accessories.
Good point. Support your local bike shop. Great point.
I could take the €400 and go to another shop close by, maybe buy €400 of pasta, Maybe go to the Euro
Fuels your
store,
ride.
get €400 and just, that's Christmas done for eternity.
True.
Just keep handing them out every
Lottery
year.
tickets.
Yeah, beans.
Tyres.
A
Chamois cream.
new pet.
A new pet. Perhaps a water dragon or an iguana. Yeah. Lovely idea. Well, Focus are actually making that question a reality.
Nice.
Because with the Focus Spring deals, you can grab up to €400 back when buying a new bike. If you want to find out more, check out the terms and conditions and all of the details in the link. We're going to put that below, and I'm also going to read it out.
Please.
Okay, you ready for me to read it out?
Yes, I'm.
This is old school, innit? Reading out links.
Yeah, anticipation.
I'm going to do it anyway.
Please do it.
I'm doing it.
I want the deal.
Ride.focus.bikes/spring deals TRC.
Ooh, nice. So that is ride.focus.bikes/spring deals TRC, and let us know in the comments what you would do with €400. Best answer wins a signed ODub hat.
Oh, I like it. Good.
All
I've
right.
got hats. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, I'm good for that.
Okay.
Hey, can we also put something up here that you can click on for the next episode?
How about we put a subscribe up there in the middle?
Yeah, love
We're going to put a video we think that our lovely companionship will love on your face.
Oh, my face?
Yeah.
And so they can't see me now?
Gone. And on my face, another video that we think people will love. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please hit like and subscribe. You guys are the best.
Peace and love.